Dylan came on, started growing even more to the point where we're like, hey, we need to actually hire an employee and pay them. Because we're getting to that point where like, okay, I think we can start paying somebody like, 18, 19 bucks an hour. We needed a lot of welding done. Because at this point, my dad was still welding the rails.
Yeah, I don't want to do that no more.
So that's where it was tough. I'm like, we would sit down and be like, fuck, dad's free though.
Yeah. That's
Price is right. I'm hammering out rails, welding seat posts, delivered. We're meeting halfway from our houses to drop off parts so he could ship them out. I'm welding more. I'm like, I thought I retired. What the hell am I doing?
We reached that point with the truck driver too. Our dad was driving the truck.
Right.
Yeah. For free.
Right.
When you've got to hire a full-time truck driver, it's getting expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
It's tough to part with that.
Yeah, it hurts a little bit.
There's a lot less angry customers calling.
This is true.
Yes.
That's traffic violation.
Got a phone call one time. I was driving down 53 and a guy in your semi truck flicked me off and threw a coffee cup at me.
And that's your dad?
My dad. I'm like, hey, Dad, we got a 44-foot Roadster Shop banner behind you on the trailer with the website and the phone number. Don't chuck your coffee at people. Flip them off.
Flick them off, but you don't throw the fucking coffee. Yeah. One or the other.
If it was Roadster Shop, that'd be fine. But you guys had the phone number out there too.
Yeah, the website.
Yeah, the website.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. That'll never happen again. I assure you that driver is getting fired.
Welcome to Oil and Whiskey, an Ironclad original. I am Josh Henning.
I'm Phil Gerber.
I'm Jeremy Gerber.
Welcome back to Oil and Whiskey, an Ironclad original. Today's guest is the crew from Vyper Industrial and Vyper Energy, brothers Dayne and Dylan, and the man, the myth, the legend, the mysterious man behind all of those loud-ass noises in all the sheet metal shops and coach builders across the country, well, world, I guess.
Yeah.
You're the reason for all that loud-ass noise. Chris Rusch, welcome to Oil and Whiskey.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you making the trip.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course.
Yeah, ever since we set this one up, we've been excited. There's a lot to dig into.
Oh, yeah.
First, we got to get some drinks, though.
We've got a variety here. So
Yeah.
where do we begin?
Well, they brought their sleeping bags. It's going to be a long night, so let's get into it.
One of those.
Should we start with this, or what is this that you said?
Let's try that easy drinking whiskey.
Just try it.
Shanky's Whip, made in Ireland. Huh?
Yeah, give it a try. I think you guys are going to like it. It's completely off the mark from what you guys are used to drinking.
You called it sissy whiskey.
I call it sissy. I might get hard time for that from other people, but that's what it feels like to me, because when I drink a regular whiskey versus that stuff, it feels like sissy whiskey.
You're Wisconsin boys, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it definitely gets you drunk, so it works.
I would have thought some Molson's or a brandy like that.
Well, we're not. Oh, yeah, we could talk about old fashions.
Yeah, bring a bottle of brandy.
That thing's like seized itself on there.
Is it?
This is where you can edit it, right?
Yeah.
Make it seem longer.
Twist. So we're gonna need something to grab.
I believe it's just a twist.
Would you like me to do it?
Oh, gee, you started it, right?
He loosened it up for us.
It's recorded. I just want to throw that out there.
That's gonna be the one where I chime in and send the email independently.
Yeah, it gets that cut out.
At,
At 1.53. Yeah.
Cut, delete.
So what's been going on, fellas? You got your hands in a little bit of everything right now.
Yeah, we've been busy. Really focusing on Vyper Industrial, but of course, thank you. That close?
Yeah, see it? Can you hear the difference?
I can. It's loud.
Sounds good.
Sounds nice. Vyper Industrial is honestly extremely busy right now. We're growing, getting partners, adding more employees to the team, more products to the line, and then of course Vyper Energy, which I'm sure we'll dive into also.
Oh yeah.
So
when did Vyper Industrial officially start?
we have the first chair sale was July 2020. I remember that.
Yeah.
It was to Cornfield Customs, Mike Wagner.
Yeah, so I mean, Vyper Industrial actually started before the chair business slightly. And I guess we can roll into that kind of towards the end of my RMD career if you want to.
Man, you can start wherever you want to start. I always hate, we've talked about this before, like, so how did you get your start? We try to go a little bit, but at the same time, whatever is the easiest flow for you to tell
Well, first off, not in a million years did I ever think I was going to be on the Roadster Shop podcast. So thank you guys for having me. This is great. So since you guys
be having one,
started the podcast, I've been listening to it and I love it. It's like my favorite one, and I'm on it every week when it comes out. I can't wait for it to come out. So this is like a huge honor to me. I'm like super nervous even being here, but it's great. Vyper started after I sold RMD. So that was my company, Rusch Machine and Design. A lot of people never even heard of Rusch Machine and Design because it was always masked by the Bailey brand.
Yep.
So we were the core manufacturer of my brand of machinery was marketed through Bailey. So if you look at the Bailey catalog, all of the machinery that's yellow, that was made by my company. And we were sister companies, and I can get more into that in depth on that.
So RMD was basically the Department of Defense for the Bailey Army.
Yeah. That's basically that. So we were the American-made brand, and we took super pride. Me and my guys and my company and our family and everything took pride in that. We were American-made stuff. So, and Bailey kind of went a different direction and started bringing in some import things and all that. But anyhow, after Bailey ended up buying me out, so I sold out to Bailey, and then I was in limbo for a little while, selling out. I didn't know what I was going to do. I built a really badass shop up by my house, and I kind of set myself up because I knew I was going to get out. And I have a full machine shop. I can pretty much make anything. I got one of just about every machine I built in my facility. I got the CNC mill, CNC lathe, all the manual equipment, and a nice big building. And I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew something might come up. I was just going to kind of coast for a little bit. Getting out of the stress of a business was kind of a relief, but I knew I was going to do something. So I started Vyper. And I just from learning the branding of how Bailey branded and how they did, got to, their level, I knew that branding was super important. And then when I first got into business, I didn't realize that. So I knew I needed to come up with, a clever name, a clever logo, because I didn't know what it was going to be. I wanted something that could go on anything. So
can we just dive right into it? Where'd the name come from? Let's get that started right away.
Slid that out the last time you.
Where the name?
That's a good story.
This is okay. This is where the editing person, you cut here, and when I'm done, you cut there and blend it together.
Let's transit.
So, all right. So we're all snowmobilers. So we were snowmobiling in Upper Michigan, and this is probably 2014-ish, 15, something like that. And I had just bought a brand new Yamaha Vyper snowmobile. It was kind of the hot shit at the time, 4-stroke motor and then a nice chassis, and it was kind of a great in between. And the thing haul ass, and we're on Lake Gogebic, if you don't know, you don't know, but it's a giant lake in Upper Michigan, and we're ripping across, and there's bars and stuff all around the lake, and we stop at this one tavern, and all kinds of snowmobiles there, but I come in rolling in on the hot new Vyper, hot shit, and there's this.
What year are we here?
This 2015.
2015, okay.
Yeah, and ish. I might have been 14, 15, somewhere in there. But there's this drunk chick out there on the lake, and she comes up and she goes, "Woo, Vyper! Look at the new Vyper!"
I immediately latched onto that.
So
Trademarks.
Yeah, man. My son is with me, and we're ripping around, and that was my name the whole weekend. So every place we went, oh, here comes Vyper, and we're walking in the bar. So that's
Awesome.
So that kind of stuck in the back of my head, and I think it's loosely based on that. I don't.
No,
think
that's what it's based on. That's what it's on. The drunk lady up in Michigan, that's the reason why we're called Vyper.
Okay, drunk lady.
Yeah, if she's listening to this, thank you very much.
Yeah, she's like, "Where's my royalty check?"
dude, you think she did it better, or did Fuller do it better in the scene?
Oh, it'd be close. We should have like a duel.
Side by side.
I don't know if we could ever find that lady again, though. I mean,
Names come from the craziest places. I think we're past the statute of limitations now, so we can disclose this. When early in our career, we were going out to like good guys shows and we were showing our chassis. These are like 30s chassis. They were all painted. So when people see a color painted at a show, that doesn't matter what color it is, that's just the color they want. They got to have it. So every show we'd go to, 90% of the questions are, what color is that on that chassis? So we're like, and we should just come up with a name. So we named it Lexington Steel Gray, who's an adult film star. Like that. And for a year, people would come by, and then we even had a can because we had touched it, and it said Lex Steel Gray. And people would come by. What color is that? Oh, I think that's a Lexington Steel.
I think it is.
Gray. That's a metallic. Yeah, it's.
We even had people from like BASF and PPG booth walking over. Yeah, you're telling these customers it's Lexington Steel Gray. We need a paint coat.
They're looking to try to find it in there. So when they go on Google ad, what pops up exactly? You should tell them that.
It's like pre-internet.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, some names, man.
But then the name stuck. I mean, I remember you always talking about it too, is that you wanted to start a family company named Vyper.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, I wanted, it was all based on branding. That was it. I was trying to make sure I didn't come up, like my first company was Rusch Machine Design, and that doesn't flow at all. You know what I mean? I wanted something that's boom, catchy, and you can put it on anything. And then it came up to the logo. So Dayne and I, we went through a bunch of different things with the logo, and I always was like, I want it to be something that could go on the grill of a car.
Yep.
You know, a car, boom, it can be a V,
Sure.
and you can slap it on anything. You could, like your coffee mug over there, it could be on that. You could sell coffee mugs, cars, whatever, it doesn't matter, because I didn't know what I was going to do. And that's it. And then, well, the spelling kind of, everybody asked why the spelling. Well, we were trying to trademark it and stuff, and VIPER is used in a lot of places, and it's a lot harder to trademark that and the look and everything with a VI. So we went VY, and we thought it was catchy, and it kind of looks good, and it looks good when you write it. So that's where it came from. It's kind of a short story, but funny one too.
Was a lot of this, you touched on a little bit, a lot of this marketing and little tips and tricks, the stuff that you picked up along the way with the Bailey, partnership. Was there things that they were doing back in the day when you really, again, I'm guessing, but you were really caring about like building the best equipment? Was there things they were doing marketing wise where you were scratching your head like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like,
Well, I mean, marketing, the owner of Bailey, Stefan, he's a marketing genius. I mean, the guy is brilliant. And him and I, we went to school together. We worked together in a previous career. And he really knows his shit and knows how to, he knows how to sell.
They did a phenomenal job.
He knows how to sell and market. He knows, how to place money, where to put money, how to drive sales. And he was, like I said, a marketing genius. I still hold that. And he did a phenomenal job on growing Bailey to what it was. So no, I don't really see any flaws or drawbacks. My only, I guess the biggest hang up I had with it was bringing in the imported equipment. That's where, I had a little bit of an issue because it was taking sales away from me, so the way our relationship worked was, I always had first dibs. Whatever I produced, it was going in their catalog. That's regardless of whether they wanted it or not, they were going to sell it, because if they didn't sell it, then I had opportunity to market it anywhere else. So they took on everything that I produced. Okay, so that's all fine and dandy for me, but I come out with my opinion, the best beater rollers out there, and then all of a sudden they bring in a Chinese beater roller. Well, who's going to buy a $4,000 beater roller when they can buy a $1,200 beater roller? So that was.
Well, it depends on if you want to like roll beads or not.
Like multiple beads.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a good relationship, and it worked out. It worked out for both of us. So after I sold to Bailey, then Bailey sold to JPW, which is a big corporate conglomerate that owns Edwards. Now they own all kinds of companies, and they did what all big companies do to companies.
But that same mindset that he had, he incorporated with the Vyper chair too. He's like, this, you can go and buy cheap chairs, but let's make something that actually solves problems.
Well, how long did it take to get to the chair thing? If you've got a logo, you've got a brand, and you're like, I know what we're going to do, but I don't know what we're going to build.
Well, it started out prior to that. So Dayne was just done with college, and he was looking for some way to make money. Okay. And I'm like, my company was already gone. And I'm like, well, we have Vyper. I says, if you want to make money right now, I know that you can buy electric motors, same motors. So I bought all kinds of electric motors. We imported them from Taiwan, not China. Taiwan, a really good company. They're just like America over there. These guys were really good, made a quality product. And I never felt bad about importing those motors. So I told Dayne, I'm like, if you want to make money right now, I got a great relationship with these guys. We'll start Vyper Motors, and we'll bring in electric motors, and you start a distribution company. We'll bring them in on the cheap, sell them on a markup, and we'll try and get OEM corporations to buy them in bulk from us. And bam, there's your business plan, and you can go off and make money right away. And we did that right out of the gate. He was like, yep, let's do it. So
drew up a logo, talked with the manufacturer, of course, and got, I think it was like initial order of like half a 40-foot container on the way of just miscellaneous motors. So like 1 horsepower, half horsepower, quarter horsepower, single phase, 3-phase, kind of the main motors in the industry. And then, yeah, they arrived, and I went to school for finance. So the little I knew about electrical motors was almost nothing.
Right.
So he's like, all right, here are the motors. I'm like, fuck do they do? You know, what do they do? And of course you got to learn it. You start looking at all these machineries. Like we teamed up with Coal Iron Works. So they make those forging presses, and built a relationship with them. And they were actually one of our first customers that started purchasing our motors and putting them on their machines.
That's awesome.
So then what happened was COVID hit, the shipping crisis hit, and importing costs for a container was, well, we used to pay $6,000 for to get a container over, ended up being $25,000, $30,000. Well, bam, our marketing plan.
That's when your finance comes back into play, because you understand the profit margins on that, don't you?
They're gone. Zero.
I'm pretty sure this little negative sign before this number is not good.
I don't know what the motors do, but we ain't making no money on them.
They're red.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, that in a nutshell is what killed Vyper Motors, is importing costs. We were done like overnight. We could, I mean, I'm not going to bring them in and sell them at a loss,
Right.
at a huge loss. I mean, if we would have just broke even, I probably would have kept going, but
Yeah.
just
At that point, you're competing with Balder, Leeson, WEG, and those guys have billions of dollars in inventory. So there's no competition, you know.
So then it was kind of the end of the road for Vyper Motors. We all saw the writing on the wall. And I mean, I can get into, so back up a little bit. The first Vyper chair was already built. So Dayne was still in college, and we were moving him into we were moving into your apartment.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to a thrift store, and we're getting a bed frame for him or something. And I'm walking through the thrift store, and I see these big casters for sale, you know, $1 a piece. I'm like, well,
I remember that.
I'm like, I'm going to score. I'm like, I'm going to build a fucking shop chair, you know? It was on my mind. It's been on my mind for years, and not to sell. It was just like, all my chairs sucked. Everything was crap. And I'm like, I want a fucking chair that I can get around with good, you know? So I took these big casters. I went back, and I'm all happy, you know, Saturday afternoon, and I whipped up the first Vyper chair with just a bunch of scrap parts I had laying around, and it was great. And Dayne comes, I don't know if it was, I don't remember when exactly. He's like, you know, Dad, oh, fuck, we can sell these, you know? I'm like, well, I can't sell it like that because I just whipped it together. It wasn't really thought through. I just kind of cobbled a nice chair together. So then I'm sitting on my computer, you know, I got a laptop, and I'm sitting at home, and I drew up a sketch of how I would make it if I'm going to make it for real. You know, I'm a machine designer by trade, and I kind of drew it up, and I took a picture of the sketch, and I sent it to him. He's like, fuck yeah, let's do it, Dad, let's do it. So then I drew it up in CAD and made the first one. The first one was aluminum, and we still make that model. And he's like, yeah, let's freaking go. This is great.
So we made a prototype for one of the first ones. Had a buddy in college that knew how to do photography and videography. Said, hey man, I'll give you $100 this weekend. You come over, take some photos of this thing, me sitting in it. You know, I'll buy different outfits. We can do like an electrician, like a, you know, like welder.
Come over here and take pictures of me playing dress up.
Bro, this is sounding weird.
Nothing weird or nothing.
But yeah, he came over. We took photos of it. I knew how to build websites from college and put together a, you know, website that somebody could go on and actually buy, and then pretty much just utilized. So he had a lot of connections in the industry. Like Cornfield Customs was one of the first ones. Brian Fuller. So took like 5 of the main guys, sent them a free chair, and like they posted on Instagram, and the next thing you know, like overnight we got like 10, 15 people in our emails like, how do I get one? How do I get one?
That's awesome.
And then
Yeah, I mean,
went from there.
it really was like an overnight thing, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, holy, this is for real. This thing is actually taking off. And Dylan worked with me at RMD for how many years did you work?
So like 13, 14 years.
He was kind of my right-hand man at my previous company, and we were designing together and doing stuff like that. And then the chair thing took off, and I sold, and Dylan, I kind of left him hanging there. And
Don't worry, you guys go have fun. I'll stay here. Don't worry about me.
so, I mean, I feel bad about that yet. I really felt like I pulled the rug out from underneath the kids. But the sale, there's a lot more involved in the sale. It wasn't just me like, hey, see you later. But there's more to it than that. But Dylan was left at RMD, and finally the chair started going, and Dayne's like, I can't do this all by myself. And I'm like, I'm not going to do it anymore from zero, Right. So I'm like, you guys got to handle this shit. And Dayne's like on Dylan like every day. You got to quit, dude. You got to quit.
Yeah. I think I still have the text messages. Yeah. I mean, I was driving up, helping them every night after work, we were boxing chairs late, and it was getting to be too much, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm either going to jump or I'm going to stay where I'm at. And I'm like, well, I don't have any kids yet. I'll talk to my wife a little bit, and all right, let's do it. So I quit my job and went and helped Dayne full time, and haven't looked back since. And honestly, I don't regret it at all. It was awesome. I almost wish I would did sooner.
The start of what you guys have going on, I mean, it very much reminds me of our situation, doesn't it? We came from a family business. Yeah. Dad was in the auto collision business, and we were groomed to, that's all I knew how to do. That was all Phil knew how to do. And we grew up. That was it. Like, that's the business you're going into. And, he sold out in, what year was that? 2003?
Yeah.
2003,
2000.
Yeah. So I was out of there already, but Phil definitely got the rug pulled out because he's like, that's his career. I'm building hot rods. Fuck fixing cars. But
I was sticking in the body shops for another year and a half when I was off building hot rods.
He's stuck. He's stuck.
I picked the wrong thing.
Right. It's the same thing now. He's like, dude, you need to quit your job. You need to quit your job. I'm like, motherfucker, we work together.
We'll both quit.
We'll do it together.
Yeah, it is cool. A lot of crossover there. I admire what you guys got. The family thing is really cool.
Yeah, but there a lot of, especially in the beginning too, like a lot of guys, or we got a lot of feedback from people saying, are you sure you want to do this family thing? And, it's like our family is different. The dynamic that we have where we don't take things personal. And if you got something on your mind or something that you don't like, we go and talk about it right away. And the main thing is that we're all on the same page with it anyways. Like we all want the same end goal. So like it's just super smooth how it flows. And it's awesome.
It is. It's honestly, I could not be happier. When I sold the business, like I said, I really felt like I pulled the rug out from under the kids. I wasn't leaving a legacy on, wasn't, letting them take it over and all that shit. And it would really weigh on me hard. I'm like, fuck, did I really screwed this up, but then, once this started and it started to show success, I'm like, oh, thank you, God. And I'm like, I couldn't be happier. I'm so proud of these two and what they're doing. It really took a load off of me, and I think it took a load off of them too, because they're not. Then they would be if they would have taken over my other company. Like, oh, Daddy gave them that company, and they're not doing it. They just took over what they're doing and milking it for everything it's got. And this ain't the case now. They're doing it.
Yeah. So you'll learn a whole lot more starting at the bottom and figuring out how to make it all work.
Absolutely.
Through all the
all the bullshit, right? Exactly. Yeah. And I feel bad for him with that. Now I hang out with them and all the shit that's going on. I'm like, man, I forgot about all this crap. I'm out of here.
Figure it out like I did. Yeah. You said you were there for 12, 13 years, whatever. Was that your background, is designing, engineering and stuff as well?
Yep. So mechanical design. That's what I went to school for. And like he said, I worked alongside him every day. So learn from the best. And I mean, honestly, I learned more working alongside him than I did in school, in my opinion. Right. So, but that was awesome. And I mean, it really prepared me, for, working on these chairs and stuff. Cause like he taught me everything with mechanics and how things work and everything like that. And I mean, I've always had an interest in that. Right. So it did transition perfectly, you know what I mean? And it works well with our dynamic as well, because like he touched on a little bit before, we caught a lot of heat. I don't know if you guys might want to touch on this a little bit too about two brothers. Oh, you really sure you want to, go into business with your brother, because everybody has a bad image for that. But it's like, no, I mean, yeah, I would love to go into business with my brother. Like he handles the marketing side of it. And like, let's go. Yeah, of course. And I handle the engineering side. So it's like, we're not dealing with the same topic and we're not constantly, butting heads. But like he said, we just kind of, if there's something on our mind, close the door and we hash it out, and it's like, we don't hold grudges or anything like that. It's been awesome, so
that's great.
Yeah, we've made it for 20 years now and there's only one hole in the drywall.
That's pretty good. That's good. That's really good.
And no hospital visits for either of you.
No, we get along pretty good. But it's a similar dynamic. We don't have a tremendous amount of crossover in what our day-to-day tasks are, but we work together on quite a bit of stuff. But it's still like I'm out on the shop floor operations. Phil's running the business, so each one's equally as important. You can't have one without the other, but together it worked out well. We were both kind of groomed for different portions of a business to create a functioning business.
Yeah.
So
And you're striving for the same goal.
yeah,
Right?
and nobody wants to fail. So
Well, of course.
that's
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to kind of ask you, and it seems like it's spilling over into this, but working with Bailey at the time that allow you to grow because you weren't focused on the marketing and sales side.
Yeah.
You could focus kind of in your core.
100%. And, I can get into that too a little deeper. When we started Bailey, I guess I can go into the beginning of that. So I started my company. Okay, let me back up even further. So me and the founder of Bailey, we both worked together in a previous company. And we built high-speed wrapping equipment. So I was the design engineer for this company, and he was the marketing guy.
It sounds pretty. Is it as badass as it sounds? Because it sounds pretty badass.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
high speed wrapping.
High speed wrapping.
High-speed wrapping, yeah. So
M&M.
no, actually, it's much more glamorous. It's toilet paper. It's
Ass white.
ass wipe, as we used to call it. So when you go into a your hotel and you see the roll of ass wipe on the counter that's wrapped in paper with the stuffed into cores, that's one of the machines that I designed and built that wraps that stuff. So it does it at 200 rolls a minute, and it's just clipping along.
So next time you're wiping your ass, think of that.
Yeah.
I always thought it was like little Chinese kids over there, like rapping.
No, but I mean,
That's what you're not supposed to say.
You're not.
So that will be edited. That'll be edited out.
so I forgot where I was at. So yeah, okay.
Wrapping paper.
Wrapping, yeah. So we worked together at this company, and they were more competition was coming in from Italy. So computer technology was getting more advanced, servo technology was getting more advanced, and the company that I was working for, the owner was older and he didn't want to invest much more into technology. And this company, I could see it coming. They were just gonna gobble us up if we didn't advance.
Yep.
And we weren't advancing, and we weren't gonna advance. So I kind of saw the writing on the wall. I'm like, I got to get out of here, or I'm going to be sinking with the ship. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do? I could go work for a paper mill. I could do all that stuff. I was trained. I mean, I traveled the world fixing these machines and setting them up and all that stuff. I'm like, I was just done with it. I wanted to do something else. So at the time, I was building a Lamborghini Countach from scratch. And
Like most people do.
Yeah.
I mean,
so this
you
is
got to have a hobby.
So this is parallel to me working at this company. I was building this on the side as my hobby. Like everybody, I had the Countach picture on the wall, and I wanted one so bad I could taste it. But I was making $13 an hour, and there was no way I was ever going to own one.
So build it.
So I was going to make it. So I built this car. I'm working on it, and on that car there are 1, 2, 3. There's like 6 tubes that need to be bent. Other than that, everything else is just straight tube and notched. So I needed to bend these stupid pieces of tubing, So we had a local tube bender company in our town, and I went to him. I'm like, hey, can you bend these things? Oh yeah, sure. But I need to order of 1,000 of them. I'm like, no, dude, I just need to bend these 2 freaking tubes, And this is before internet, before everything was magazine. That's it. And I'm like, oh, Christ. So what do I do instead of building a car? Well, I got to make a tube bender to bend these tubes, So machine design was my forte. That's what I was, halfway decent at. I'm like, well, I'll just design a tube bender. So instead of working on the car, what am I doing? I'm making a tubing bender. So I made a tubing bender to bend these tubes. And, I bent them, I got them up, and the machine was crude. It just was enough to do what I needed to do. And people would be coming in my shop. I had the shop where everybody would come by, and because they always wanted to see what the crazy guy down the street was doing. This guy's fucking pulling a car in his garage. So people would come over and they're like, man, that freaking tube bender is awesome. It's really cool. I'm like, maybe I should build tube benders and sell them. So light bulb goes on. I'm like, okay, that's my out. So getting out of this company, I'm gonna build a machine to bend tubing. I'll sell these, and that'll fund my car. I'll keep this project going. I wasn't doing it to get rich or nothing. I just wanted to get out, be my own boss for a while, and keep going. So what do? I pack up. I back up a little bit. I redesigned the machine, made it into a saleable item, what I thought would sell. And like I said, there's no internet. I don't even know if another tube bender company exists. So I pack up, and everything was magazines at that time. So I'm looking in the back of, I would go to you go to your grocery store, and the magazine rack was there. And that's where I always was, reading the car magazines and stuff. And in the back was Circle Track Racing Expo in North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. Book a spot now. Called, book a spot. I'm like, well, if I need to bend tube, these people are racing these cars around, they got to bend tubes too. So I don't know how they're doing it now, but I'm going to go there and do it too. So I pack up my trailer. I built 3 machines in my shop to sell, load up a trailer, drive all the way there. And this is where everything goes to shit, because everybody's like, oh no, dude, a new tube bender, this is great, and I get all this, I got like a shoebox full of business cards that want something. I come back and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with this. How do I sell? I had no idea how to sell, none at all. And I'm like, I am fucked. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. So my partner in crime at Bailey, he was the marketing guy and the guy who started Bailey. So I call him. I'm like, hey, dude, I think I got something going on here. I got all this interest in this product. You want to do something different? And he's like, yeah, I mean, he saw the writing on the wall too, that the company wasn't going anywhere. And actually, I take that back. He didn't start Bailey yet. He didn't start Bailey. Right. No, he was already, I take that back. He was out of Bailey already. He was working for another paper company down in Beloit. And he was trying to save them from bankruptcy or something like that. And I call him. I'm like, hey, you want to do this? And, he's thought about it a little bit. He's like, you know what? Screw it. Yeah, let's do it. So he was my first customer, but he knew how to sell. So Bailey was actually running in my basement out of my house for a couple months when they first got started. So me and him are together. I'm making machines. This is in my garage, my house garage, just a small little garage, and he's starting to put together contacts. And
so from the start, you had no interest in doing the sales or any of that kind of stuff. You wanted to be the manufacturer and
well, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew when I came back from that trade show that I didn't know how to sell or market.
Okay.
So I was kind of forced into that. Like, I had no idea what I'm doing. And if I did, I don't think I would have worked. I just am not good at that. That's not me. So it ended up working out good. He left his company. He started Bailey, but I had already started my company. So I had a company started already. He started Bailey approximately a year after I had started RMD. And we were off to the races. We had an agreement. This is how it's going to work. I make, he markets. And
what's the date on this?
1998 I started, and he started in 99, 2000, somewhere in there.
Any reason why you guys didn't start a company together and just be sales?
That's a damn good question. I think we both wanted our independence, and both wanted to be the driver of our own ship. Thinking back, that's what I remember. But we really never had that conversation that I recall. It was like, because he was going to bring on other equipment too. And he knew that right away, that he was going to start with what we had. So we had a 5-year deal. So he could only sell my stuff exclusively for 5 years. After that 5 years, he could go and, with our contract or whatever, go do and bring on whatever he wanted to do, as long as it didn't compete directly with with that initial line of machines that we had. So it ended up working. Obviously, it ended up working out. We progressed, and every year, I mean, you're 100% right in the fact that I didn't have to do the marketing, and I wasn't taken away from that, and I could completely focus on design and just manufacture and making the machines. So he would go and get the orders. We'd produce. And always try to produce more, but that never worked. It was always a catch up, right till the end. It was a catch up. Rarely did we have anything in stock, but we just kept going. We kept going hard, and every year, I just kept pushing it on stuff that I would want. Every piece of machinery that I built is something either I needed or wanted in the time. It was all necessity. None of it was just make one just because. Every piece. I can't even think of one.
So the tube bender was the very
tube
first.
bender was the second notcher, the tube notcher. Yep.
Is that your eccentric?
The eccentric one.
So I think I told you last time you were here, I still have that piece of equipment, which is blue.
Yep, it is. That was for some.
Which that must be, what, 15 to 18 years old?
Yeah.
That.
Yep. And that was the first machine that I patented. And trying to think of the date. Yeah, it should be like 2002.
Yeah. Yeah,
2002 is when the first one came
one
out.
of the first like nice pieces of equipment that we bought, which that is a testament to the quality of your product.
Thank you.
Because after all that time, that thing still runs today.
Awesome.
90 plus employees that just punish that thing. I mean, it's been plowed through every thing imaginable. Titanium. I mean, it breaks end mills. You know, okay, you guys will wear an end mill out, but I mean, that thing is still like the day we got it.
Thank you. Well, that's a huge feather in my cap. And what I always said, I mean, even Dylan too, and when we'd be at the shop and we'd have a really old machine come back for something, for a repair or whatever, and it'd come back and it looked like it was in a war. It just hammered to hell, and I loved it. You know, when the stuff, I'm like, yes, this is great. This thing is still running, and we'd have to just do a quick upgrade or, you know, a lot of the electronics, because the machines are so old that the electronics got obsoleted, not by me, but by the manufacturers. So some of the upgrades to the electronics were too involved for our customers to do. So we had to get the machine back to do the upgrade, to put modern electronics on it and send them back. But when we'd get the machines back in complete disarray, but they were still functioning, I loved it. And that was always a great goal for me.
I remember you saying that as one of a problem. I mean, quote, problem you ran into was you made your equipment too good to where you couldn't make any more money off of it.
I couldn't make any money off of spare parts.
Right.
There's no shit in there like Apple where the new one comes out and you can make the other one just fucking sucking. Just like, oh, gotta buy the new one.
Just make it and suck. Yeah.
You see some of those, they start on fire.
On
the old ones,
really?
They get too hot and they start on fire. So like if you upgrade the operating system, it's too heavy for that device.
Genius.
Like, the shit's
they're real. They don't make cars in the same way. 60,000 miles, like just goes to shit.
Just turns off. Yeah. So I'm interested. We've talked about this with a bunch of guests, but we've never had this dynamic to get both sides of it. So I'm very interested while all this is going on. So 99, 2000, so stuff start cranking early 2000s, whatever. I'm again assuming that you're working your ass off.
Oh, yeah.
You have to.
Yeah,
you've got to do a lot to get that rolling, and you probably have continued to do that. And now y'all are young, y'all growing up, you're seeing all this. That's a testament to what you've done, to the fact that y'all are all sitting here like, you know, still friendly and working together and do business. What are you seeing, both of you, in your dad, in the business that makes you want to, one, like, oh, fuck yeah, this is cool, I want to do that, and not be like, motherfucker's always at the shop. Like, dude, I'm playing T-ball and like he's not there, or any of that kind of stuff. I don't want to dig too deep and open up, you know, pull Band-Aids off, but I'm very honestly intrigued on how y'all are sitting here, they're willing to do the same shit that they saw you do without any animosity of like, fuck it, I'm going to, you know, be home every, you know, 4 o'clock on Thursday. I'm going to be home with my son, you know.
That's just what we saw growing up, you know? Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of what we think is normal. You know what I mean? So it's...
The more we start to grow Vyper and see what it takes to build a business, every day I get more appreciation for him, seeing what he went through, but still raising us as great kids. And
that's at least one of us.
That's an objective. We'll figure that out by the end of this podcast, which one that is.
But the amount of effort, I mean, all you guys know, to run a successful business is night and day. And do that on top of raising 2 kids, keeping a roof over your head, having a bed to sleep in, having food on the table is like beyond admirable. And we wouldn't be where we are if it wasn't for him. So this is almost more of like, hey, we want to show you that we can do it too, and we're doing this for you. And like, it's awesome that he can come with us on all these trips. Like, when us 3 are together, it is just an awesome dynamic. We're all the same. It's kind of weird. So like, you should have heard us driving down just from Milwaukee, bitching at traffic. All of us, all 3 of us. And they're not even driving, and they're in the back seat.
Fucking hate Milwaukee.
So one thing I always tell, I mean, I have my sons young, and they're not even like, I shouldn't say they're not. They are sons to me, but they're not like sons. They're more like buddies and friends. You know, like we hang out. You know, so it's cool, and I love it. You know.
So it's like all these shops we're visiting are people that he always wanted to go and check out when he was in business. And
It's too busy.
yeah, exactly. And so now he's obviously retired and we're like, hey, we're going to go to California and take a trip. You want to come? He's like, sure. Send me the dates. Let's do it.
So, are you retired?
Yeah. That's up for debate.
Well,
I'm working more now. Than
seriously, cheers to you, Chris, because what a phenomenal job. Because honestly, if we're all honest with ourselves as we continue to get older, we're all going to look back at things. I know I will. I think I speak for Phil and Jeremy as well. That you look back at things, you're like, man, I probably could have done that different. But if I did that different, will we be where we're at now, or whatever it is? And you look back and you want your kids to understand, like, we know. I did all this because I was trying to, build everybody up. So you did it the right way. They understand that. So hats off to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I got one story. So kids were young and I was working my ass off and my wife wanted to go on a trip. We were going to take the car ferry over to Michigan and I'm like stressing to go. I'm like, I got so much shit to do. I can't really leave. I'm like, okay, fuck it. I'm going to go. So we're over in Michigan and we rent this hotel and the shop is blowing up back. It's melting down.
Yeah.
And I'm over and I got on the phone and they're like, dude, you got to get fucking back here. It's just shit. And I got Bailey calling me. They're like, man, we got orders to get on. And I'm just getting screamed at over the phone. And I'm like, I can't fucking do this. I'm like, I'm gone till Monday. Click, boom, turn the phone off. And I mean, you have to deal with it because
Figure it out.
I'm gone now. So, so if you're ruining my trip. I'm only here for 2 days.
Yeah.
And it's a Saturday.
I left yesterday.
Then I did. It was one day. And
It takes a while. I mean, at least it has with me, or, it takes a while to get to that point to where you can finally be like, I don't know if it's, you trust that it's going to be fine, but you might just kind of halfway get fed up. Be like, you know what? I'm, like you said, off 2 days. You cannot reach me. I don't care if you try to reach me. And it's difficult to shut it off because you still start thinking, you're like, man, it's going to be fucking bad when I get back. It's going to be real bad. And then you get back and, might have some problems or something like that. But then you're like,
big deal.
wasn't that bad. Yeah.
And I was like, it's only 2 days, guys. Come on. I mean, it's still going to be there.
I think if you don't do that, then there's going to be a lot of babysitting in the future.
Yeah.
You almost have to isolate yourself at some point and let everybody figure it out. So then they know what to do if you're not there for a weekend or a week or whatever it may be.
I mean, it could go one of two ways. Why did you let us do that? It was a horrible. There's blood everywhere.
Very true. Very true.
Bunk beds.
No power tools.
We've never told that story, have we?
I don't know if we should, dude, to be honest with you.
Why?
Now we could tell. I mean, yeah, sure. There's no shame. What's the harm in telling it?
I'm not fucking.
I just seen you bunk beds here in our tour.
We went. She's a machinery maker. We're craftsmen ourselves.
Yeah,
we try to
we're
build
good.
fucking bunk beds.
We go to Barrett Jackson, Scottsdale, 2 years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Anyway, it was just three of us going in.
So you're in your 40s at that point, right?
Well into.
We're all.
It's just him though.
You can call it what you want to. We're all three grown ass men. Yes. I guarantee. I'm telling you that. So it was a quick little because we were doing a Grand National Roadshow show as well. So it was kind of like, boom, pop in, do that. So Phil got a Airbnb or VRBO, whatever it was. So we go in and there's 3 rooms and there's 2 rooms.
Phil's
right. Phil's got the king suite, and the hot tub and the starlights and stuff like that. So we're sharing a room. Well, there's 2 double beds.
They're
right?
like children's beds. These things were like miniature.
Yeah, they're 2.
The ad said 2 queens, but
Yeah,
they were not.
They're extremely small beds. So we get in late, right? And we'd probably had a couple cocktails or whatever. So we get in. We're looking at this fucking bullshit. Like, this fucking bed sucked. Look how the mattresses sucked. And we're like, fuck this shit.
It's like nothing else in the whole place. Like 2 towels. It was almost like a prison.
Yeah, it was.
So we got to share towels.
We said, fuck this. We're making bunk beds out of these things. And we
Looked at each other. And we both knew.
Yeah.
We're eyeing these things up, and I'm looking at it. And I'm like, in my head, I'm flipping them, spinning.
Yeah, because you could mirror them and flip them, and they would nest. So we're like,
stepbrothers.
Yeah, this would work. So
I literally picture you guys sitting on the bed just looking at each other. No words are even communicating. It's just like,
that's exactly what happened.
Communication. We knew.
So it was like, strip the beds, mattresses off. We've got the frames. and we're up on top, and there was like a radius at the end of each bed that tried to nest, and they kept wanting to slide. So we were like wedging them, and then we pull like a nightstand over behind to keep it off of it. And then we're trying to find, like, we're going down in the, wherever the place.
We went down to the garage. There was like a mason jar full of like some old slotted screws.
Yeah, but we couldn't find a screwdriver, and then we were trying to find
Duct tape or something.
So we're back up there. We're trying to do this, and then just we turn around, and Phil's just standing at the door, like,
I was in the shower.
what are you?
What the fuck is that?
Yeah, man. Just in his boxes. He was just rolling. What are you two doing?
We almost got
between
it.
his toes.
Yeah.
So,
He just turned and walked back to his room.
We were close.
Yeah.
that sounds very familiar. I feel like you two are very similar.
Possibly. I always get the suite on our trips.
We go to
too,
we go to California, and there's 5 of us and 3 beds, and one of the beds a king, and it's got its own private room in the back, and we all like are unloading the van, sweating our asses off. It's hot.
Dibs.
And we walk in there. He's pretty much got his shit already in the all laid out. He's got a pamper. He's like, yeah, this is my room. You look at the room. It's like you could fit 3 people in that bed.
No.
And it's like, yeah. He gets his own private room. Alex and Sam slept on the couch, but Dad and I were in a room, and I just related to that conversation. I feel like you guys are more similar than you think.
I mean, I had a good time.
I was comfortable as shit.
I mean, yeah, I slept great.
Oh shit.
Yeah, he went down a rabbit hole on that one.
Yeah. Oh well.
We're over here talking about like fatherly role models and
Yeah.
heavy stuff, and you're talking about us doing some on beds.
So wait, it didn't work though. You didn't sleep on the beds?
No, we had to put it.
We probably
Phil said we had to put everything
the
back.
risk, the risk of injury was too great because it wasn't solid.
No, boy.
The upper bed had a lot of rake in it. It just
They would have charged your credit card. Like, why are you
Definitely.
messing with our house?
They ended up not even sleeping that night.
They drank Jolt Cola and we're just running around.
like USA up all night.
So moving on. Yeah, back to the.
Yeah. What do you want to get into?
That sissy whiskey's good.
This actually really is. It's sweeter than I was anticipating, but it's good.
It's got like a coffee kind of taste to it. So
Do you notice who's from Wisconsin? We have 2 drinks. Why is that? It's always Wisconsin people drink it so much.
Yeah, the last Wisconsin guys that were here
There's some drinks.
was a little bit rough.
The Ring Brothers?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you need to wash your alcohol down with more alcohol. Is that how you're supposed to do
way
it?
to do it. Yeah, a little beer to. Yeah, I'm gonna move into one of these.
I want to try some of that.
Thing.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Yeah, this.
Right.
Yeah, I found this at the liquor store, and I've been eyeing it up. Solely chosen by the bottle and the fact that it was semi-expensive.
You were like, this has got to be
That's good. Yep.
You ever just go to like when you're buying something, you go highest price first?
Sometimes, yeah.
Figure it's probably all right.
Well, I usually do that, but then I work my way down. Like,
Yeah, you're like, yeah, you go highest price first, and then you go to the 4th page. Right? You're like,
Yesterday we went to
wheelhouse.
or a couple days ago we went to the liquor store. I don't even think we got through the doors, and Dylan asked right away, "What's your most expensive stuff you guys got?"
No, I said, what's your bougiest booze?
Bougiest booze. And they go to like this locked cabinet with like $3 grand, $2 grand, $1 grand.
Less bougie.
It's like,
Yeah, not that bougie. Yeah.
we're like bougie with 1 E. Stick it down the notch.
Bougie.
Yep. So then we ended up with I don't even know.
Chicken cock. How could you
Chicken
forget
cock.
that?
dipping in that for sure.
Yeah.
It was either that or the Kardashian, whatever it is. That's
a good call.
No, I think they like the chicken cocks more than that.
I feel like you had something to say. A little bit.
I kind of want to circle back because I think that's a really interesting subject for a lot of guys getting into business that need to know like how to put the time. When do you put the time in? Where's that line? How do you juggle a family and the business and create a successful business? And
It's harder with kids for sure.
very hard. The kids are a struggle, and I'm interested in the way it worked for you guys because we grew up in the same scenario with a dad who worked his ass off, right? But I feel like almost the substitute for his lack of presence sometimes was being able to like admire his hard work.
Yeah.
Right? So there was always vacations and Sundays we were hanging together. It's not like he was like an absentee dad, but like, you're sitting at a t-ball game or a baseball game you know, and it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Everybody's dads are there. Well, what do you guys do for a living? You know, and you're sitting there and you keep looking over your shoulder, waiting to hear if Dad's NSX is rolling up.
Someone show up in something cool.
Yeah, you're like, I hope Dad shows up. You know, this, I mean, most of the time didn't show up, but every once in a while you'd hear that exhaust note. You know, the NSX is pulling up. And you're like, oh, Dad's here. You know, but it for me it was cool because it didn't. I don't feel like there was a void. Like I don't look back and be like, oh, fucking Dad was never around. You know, I think it drove me to be better.
It set the bar higher.
Yeah.
So you had
It was so admirable, and it was a good blend of like the time he spent with us, the family vacations and stuff like that, but the hard work and the work ethic and being able to see that example.
Yeah.
I think is pretty critical in like development of a winner.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Well, that's exactly it. Is being present. I noticed you said that, and that's exactly what my dad would do. Also, is every trip we took, he was always there. It wasn't like, because of course you didn't have cell phones at that point, but he was always there. He was present with us. He would make sure that he had the best time out of everyone and would give us all the attention we needed. And we just soaked that up. And seeing how he raised us sets the pendulum of how we want to raise our kids. And it's something that we look at as, I want to raise my kids just as good, if not better than
Oh,
he
you
raised
guys
us.
do great.
You know,
I
You
did
just
put
gotta
a
get the wife on board though with the same thing.
you do, yeah.
I did put a limit on it though. There were times where I'm not working all night. I'm like, I'm going home. I need to see my kids, and there was a hard line in the sand for me that I'm going home. It'll be here tomorrow, type thing. So I did do that, you know. But there were times where I burned the midnight oil too.
Right.
But most of the time, it's like, no, I'm going home. I need to see my kids and be with my kids tonight, and that's just the way it was. I'll be here tomorrow.
You have to, because you can't get that time back.
You can't, and it will always be there tomorrow, and it's never going to go away. As long as you're in business, there's always going to be that
Fire.
that next thing that you got to do. You know, you got to do. But
It's more fun when you wait till they're like 7 or 8, then you can go home.
Yeah.
From the 1 to the
Well, then you can
6,
stay
7.
working.
Yeah, you work all for you got like 6 or 7 years after they're born to work your ass off because
I try to
let her deal with
to
that.
people too, and they don't understand like those little things. They
They don't remember.
no idea. Right? Their earliest memory. Ask my son.
What did you get for your second birthday?
Other than looking at pictures?
What did you get for your third birthday? None of us remember any of that stuff.
Your fucking ass off for those first, I'd say 4, maybe 5. You could,
Yeah.
if you're pushing it into 6,
Yeah.
then they'll start remembering some stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
You don't need to be home at all. Like,
You were.
How did you convince your wife for that? Please,
She's good. Well, that's home.
yeah,
gonna say.
good mom. You know,
Yeah.
What was cool though is like whenever we would do stuff, it was fun shit. Like we would go. I remember we'd always go dirt biking, and you had that track out in the middle of nowhere, and we had this like family group, and their kids would come and dirt bike with us as well. So like I think it was fun for him also to like get away and be like, okay, cool, I'm gonna bring.
The parents would go drink and the kids would go fuck off.
Yeah. So that was awesome. So it's like us kids always wanted to go. Hey, Dad, when can we go dirt biking? And then he wants to do it because then they shoot the shit with their friends and family and
Yeah.
have fun. So
Those were fun times. Yeah, the dirt biking was great.
camping, we'd go camping all the time too. That was awesome. Built a ton of memories there versus just going to a movie or something.
We did do a lot of neat stuff.
Yeah.
We went a lot of neat places, and then, with work travels too. So I always tried to mix my work travels into family travels too. So if I had to go somewhere for work, say I'm going to set up a machine or show somebody something or whatever, try and schedule it on a Thursday, Friday, and then if we're going to like California or something, then everybody would come. They could hang out at the pool at the hotel while I'm working, and then we'd stay through the weekend and come home on a Monday or whatever, and kind of kill 2 birds with one stone, go on a trip, bring the kids along. Everybody's happy.
That's awesome.
and my dad was entertaining insurance guys when he was out of town, so I don't think those were trips that come along. But teenage.
Yeah, nah.
Maybe what it
On that, now, so you work for your dad. You work with your dad for a long time. You had it. You touched on it earlier that you kind of had that in your mind. That's what you were going to do. You were following his footsteps and all. Was that your mindset as well? And then the sale happened, or what was your plan in that business prior to the sale?
Yeah. After college, I moved back in with my parents, and that was one of the most demoralizing things. Is
So you had fun in college.
yeah, we
Yeah. So that's cool. I've got a daughter in college right
but no, after college, like all my friends went and got their, corporate jobs, and it just wasn't for me. Like I just couldn't, and not that like in like any egotistical way. I just don't think I would be able to take direction well because
Didn't want to shave the dreads or what?
I didn't want to take off the hippie jacket. No, I just didn't want to work for anybody else. So I'm like, what can we do? And that's when he brought up the electrical motors, because I like to I know I'm going to put my heart and soul into anything that I get involved in. And the electrical motors, like I was living in their house, and every single night, like till midnight, I'd be working.
So you had an entrepreneurial spirit early. Yeah. You're just like, I want to do something.
He did, for sure. He always had the drive to take something. We didn't know what it was, but he was going to take something.
Yep. And then that's pretty much where it built from is, the motors didn't work out, but I knew that, okay, whatever. I learned a shit ton during that process. I'd learn about pricing and fulfillment and everything to run a business. And then the chairs came up, and I'm like, okay, cool. Let me take all my previous knowledge and skills and use that for this business.
Before you dive into the chairs, do you look at that like what was your mindset when the motors stop, right? The rug gets pulled out from underneath you. Are you looking at that as like, shit, this is a failure? Like, should I get a job? Like, are you defeated, or are you like, fuck it, doesn't matter?
It's a worldwide pandemic. We're all in this together. Mask up. We'll get through it.
But when you're alone, right? When you're quarantining and you're thinking about it yourself,
Yeah.
Was there any sense of that, or are you just like?
It was a dark time, I'm not gonna lie, because like I said, all my friends, they're making 75, 80 grand right out of college, and I'm making nothing, like truly nothing, and barely anything in the bank account. So it's like, I don't want to go, and again, I didn't want to go get a job. So I'm like, I have to. This failed, and yeah, it's demoralizing, but I'm like, whatever's next, I'm gonna make it work. Like we have to make this work, and that's how I took the mindset of it. Like when the chairs came, I didn't look at it of like, oh, I'm gonna blow this business up. I'm like, okay, what do I need to do to pay rent? What do I need to do to, how many chairs do I have to sell to buy groceries that week? And that's how I would base it off of. And if I didn't do it that month or whatever, I would work even longer. I would stay up later.
I remember that conversation. We're in the first building, and I'm like, you sell 20 chairs a week. I says, you're going to be okay. You're going to be able to pay your bills, get your shit taken care of, pay your loan, and everything will be good. 20 chairs a week, that's your goal.
Well, yeah, like I said, it was a dark time because at that moment, I moved into an apartment in Appleton because I met a girl, which is my wife now, and she had a full-time job, so she's showing me up. And I'm like, shit, if I would have kept this girl around.
What did you tell her you did? What did you tell her you did?
Right? Well, I don't know. I laid it out right away. I'm like, okay.
You own your own business, and it's from and imports, exports. Oh, so yes,
Ebbs and flows, right?
Seriously. And that was a motivating factor because I'm like, I don't want to be one of those dweebs,
Right.
And I want to show her that I can sustain a family and like provide for her as well. But yeah, when we moved in, like we didn't have anywhere to store these motors, and it kind of flopped, and we still had like 6 or 7 pallets. And he's like, okay, get these out of my shop because I don't really want them here anymore. I got to move everything around. I got winter coming around. We got to put the boat in here. I got to put the camper and everything. So I'm like, okay, let me try to find a facility here in Green Bay, because I was like a mediary place for all me, Dylan, and my dad. And I remember specifically the landlord. He was some old guy. It was a 3,000 square foot facility. And he's like, this is right when the chairs were starting. He's like, we're not going to do a year lease. We're going to go month to month. And I'm like, why are we going month to month? He's like, you guys are selling chairs. He's like,
I'm doing you a favor.
he's like, I don't think you guys are going to make it long. And I just took that little nugget, planted that in my mind. And like that bastard motivated me.
Lights a fire.
Seriously, it is. Yeah. So every single night I would go back to that. I'm like, motherfucker said, we're not gonna make it.
Have you gone back and bought that building yet?
I heard it down. We were going to. We wanted to buy it and just like buy it just to buy it.
Yeah. See,
like yeah, right.
No, we wanted to start doing Vyper Energy there.
Yeah. Or just store our sports cars when we get there. I think
that'd be a better way.
Yeah.
A couple of roadster shop cars, I'm thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, what are you interested in?
The Chevelle's pretty nice.
I sell a lot of Vyper Energy for that one, but dude, it's funny how that works. I'm very much the same way. I had my wife's who I was dating at the time, her grandpa, fucking dickhead. God rest his soul, bless his soul. He's not with us anymore.
Yeah.
Like an asshole.
Yeah.
Right? every
No disrespect.
yeah, no disrespect. Yeah, jag off, right? Every time we would go out to dinner, and he was like the king shit. And every time he'd be like, "So you still messing with cars? You messing with cars? Are you thinking about getting a job? How are you going to work on cars and take care of my granddaughter?
Thinking about whooping that old ass. That's what I'm thinking about.
How about I scissor kick you in the fucking hip, old man? How's that? Little bastard." But
Like to see you come to terms with a lot of this.
then that's
No disrespect.
right. Yeah.
All right, with all due respect.
With all due respect.
Yeah. But it lights a little bit of fire unless somebody tells you can't do something or.
It's the way they say it.
Yeah.
You can tell right away that the way they're saying something is just pure doubt.
Yep.
Like they almost want to see you fail so they can be like, "Hey, I told you so."
Oh, they're just full blown convinced. Right. It's not even like they might doubt that you do or they're concerned that you won't succeed. It's just like, yeah, I'll take your money, but it won't be for long because there's no way you're going to continue paying me rent. Right. That's when it, like you said, it's like in the spinal cord and it just stays there. And so,
I'm going to get you.
Yeah.
Majority of the time, what I've seen, when people have that doubt towards what you're doing, that you're like pushing for bigger dreams, majority of the time they're doubting you because they're pissed off that they didn't do it themselves. And they're seeing you at your younger age or whatever it is. And they're like, almost like some jealousy or envy of like, damn, like, I wish I would have took that dream and took that goal like this kid's doing, and I feel like that's where some doubt and envy can come from.
Yeah.
But yeah, I store that shit. I have like 15 different memories in my head right now where I go to when I need to, when I feel it down.
I think everybody does. Like you hear either different podcasts or different people speak, and successful people, they get asked some similar line of questioning or go down this path, and it's kind of like, I've never worried about what anybody else has ever thought. I've just wanted to please myself, and I've done that and all that. That's great. But I think when you're honest, most people do say like that didn't change your train of thought. You didn't alter anything because that guy said that or did it. But it's fuel. It is fuel to the fire.
Definitely.
You don't have to have hard feelings or animosity or anything like that. But you do have a long ass memory. Yeah. You do remember those things.
Have you got one? If you got one in that memory bank, you could.
I've got very similar family things, even probably still to this day, where it's kind of like I come from a very religious background from all preachers. My dad's still a preacher. His dad was a preacher. His brother was a preacher. Both sides of the family. So very religious background. So went to almost a year of Bible college. That didn't work out. It was
For obvious reasons.
yeah, it was not a mutual fit. We both agreed to depart ways. It was best for everybody involved. But anyway, that was, the whole entire family. It was kind of just the same exact kind of thing of like, are you still messing around with cars? Are you still playing with those cars? Are you still doing that with cars? And it was complete derogatory, like, one, the complete lack of wanting to even know what you did. Like there was no concern or care of like, well, what is it that you're actually doing? I can see that we're having this conversation for now the 5th Thanksgiving in a row. You're driving something and you're taking care of your family. I'll disregard all that and then still condescend.
Correct.
But it was more that it was just kind of like whatever it is in that whole entire genre. You're looking, you're like, it's like a $10 billion industry. Like there's, how many jobs there are in the car world, but you can't even have that conversation. It's just kind of like,
I hear you.
Still screwing around with it. Well, I saw a TV show. Yes. Whatever TV show you're about to talk about, it's exactly like that. I don't even care what you're about to say. It's just like that TV show.
Not to derail it, but do you think it may have anything to do with like the color of your eyebrows and your hair at the time?
At that point in time, I mean,
What color was it?
It's cheating.
there was a lot of different colors. I had cheated print hair. Yeah, for a while.
How do you even do that?
Yeah, how's that possible?
It's a compound operation. You bleach it first, right?
Yeah, you have
Mask it.
It's not even. It's called. It's a certain term for removing the color from the hair. It's not bleaching it blonde. It's making it go white, so it'll accept new color. Then you go in with like a brown and a tan, and then like little black circles and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty fucking cool. But as cool as it sounds, add 10%.
It just sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Sorry.
I'm sure it had something to do with it. Yeah, my daughter's back for a couple weeks after college, and so she's 18. She's just finished up her freshman year. She's about to go back, And me and my wife were talking the other day, just very similar about that of like, what would we do if me walked in, with my daughter? I'm like, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
School.
I don't know what you can do. Like, maybe you turn out good. I don't know. You can't have that conversation because you kind of already know, like, shitheads.
So Vyper chairs.
Vyper chairs. So,
Now we're getting into
I see the setup. You wanted me to go down that way so he could go down that way. That was fine.
which way? Oh,
The hair color thing.
That's a little.
yeah, that'd be a pretty long.
I thought it was gonna be the cheetah print Vyper chairs.
That's an alley there.
Did you do cheetah print?
Kind of want to now.
Could the Josh Heading edition?
We gotta have a cheetah print vibe. Yeah, for sure.
That might be on deck.
We have some.
It's a collab, is it?
It is a collab.
Maybe we can do a custom one.
Yeah, it's collabs.
Yeah.
We could call it the Lexington Steel.
You got the paint color? Google it. Google the
I'll do some research.
Dude, right now, I'm being dead serious. For a collab, let's do 2 or 3 Lexington steel bases, right? Cheetah print top with like the OW embroidered in the thing. We'll just do a limited edition drop. Yeah, 2. When they're gone, they're gone. They'll never be done again.
2.
Those are coming.
Yes.
The Lexington steel Vyper chairs.
Make sure you Google it as much as you can.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do your research, definitely. You want to know what you're getting into.
Recommend private browsing.
Incognito. Yeah.
Oh, incognito for sure.
Incognito for
$699.
Done.
Done.
All day long.
Yeah.
In 69 cents.
16.
I got
So back to where we were going.
Yeah,
with
we're
the-
getting into.
Yeah.
The electric motors are gone, and you're getting after it. Now it's
Old man pissed you off. So you said we're going month to month on the rent.
Yeah. So that was, like I said, right when I moved into the apartment in a new city, and I didn't have anything else to do during the day. So it was like from like 5 a.m. to literally like midnight every single day, even weekends. I didn't really have any friends. Like, again, they were all doing the corporate thing, and they were just kind of who we were talking about is like, how are those chairs going? And it's kind of like, okay, I'm just going to shut you guys out. Like on the weekends, I'm not going to go party and drink when you guys are doing all that stuff. I'm just going to focus on this. And cause I have to pay rent. At that point, it was, I split an apartment with your guys' son, or your guys' family friend's son.
Right.
And it was $400 a month. I'm like, okay, again, I have nothing in the bank. I'm like, I need to sell some chairs. That was my main goal, is I need to sell chairs. So it got to a point where like if a call came in or whatever, I remembered I was driving to the gym and I had my laptop and some guy's like, hey, I'll buy right now. I'm like, done. I go on, I do my Wi-Fi extender and I pull out my laptop while I'm driving in traffic, like pulling up the Shopify sale so I could send it to him because I needed that money.
Yeah.
And just kept doing that day over day over day over day till it got to a point where, it was like so busy just for one person to box all this stuff up. And then I'm like, Dill, like, I know you are making good money where you're at right now, but like this is taking off. And I feel good about it. So like, you want to take this risk with me and let's conquer this thing. Like, let's build this brand that we always wanted to do. And, he sat on it for well over a couple months. And
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I give him props because that's a tough decision. Like you're going from a well-paying job and you could continue to move up to literally making nothing. Like
You didn't sell it that way, right?
Yeah, no, but I knew it. You can see.
So I'm like, take the risk with me. Let's do this thing. And yeah, he sat on it for like 2 months. Gives me a call. He's like, I'm pretty sure it was just that. He's like, let's do it. I'm like, what do you mean let's do it? He's like, I'm gonna quit Bailey. And I'm like, fuck yes, let's go. But then like after I thought about it, I'm like, holy shit. Like he's quitting his job to do this. Like this has to work. It has to work now.
I was worried about just making my rent. Now I've got to,
2 people. And at this point you were married too.
Yeah, that shit still makes me nervous to this day.
And you had a house.
Like when people leave their jobs and they have families and they come to work for us, I'm like,
yeah.
This has to go. I have to come here every day. Like
There's a lot of
people depend on us. You know what I mean?
with that.
Right.
And that pressure never goes away because I had it right till the day I sold that. I felt that everybody's house payment, everybody's family, everybody's trucking a lot, everybody's loan was my responsibility to pay.
Yeah.
And
that doesn't get talked about a lot.
it does.
Nobody really says that much.
Yeah, and I thought about it all the time. I mean, when I would see guys come in with new trucks and I felt great. I was like, hell yeah.
I love that. I love when people go and buy cool shit.
Yeah.
You know?
But it was good because I felt like I was a big part in allowing them to do that, you know?
Yeah, but that last,
then I had to keep it.
that last little bit that you think about before you drift off to sleep is that, like, well, this has got to happen tomorrow, this got to happen tomorrow. And you're also, like you said, that weight on your shoulders of like, man, I don't think I will, but I could make a fuck up. I could make a mistake.
Yeah, you could.
That other people might have to pay the price for. And that's a scary thing when the self-doubt comes of like, I don't need to trip, because if I trip, you know.
Well, that happened in 2008 to me with when the economy tanked.
Yep.
It stopped, literally, light switch overnight, sales stopped.
Yeah.
You know, and it was for, I don't remember how long it lasted. It was all of 6-9 months where nothing happened. And we just literally stopped. We built everything we had. Orders stopped coming in, and we're like, I'm like, holy shit, this is real. We're in trouble.
Sure.
We're in trouble. So
How'd you weather that storm?
I had to design a new machine. I had to design a cheap, lower cost tubing bender that I never wanted to do. I never wanted to be in the real bottom market, but people weren't spending $5,000 on a tube bender at that time. It just quit. So I designed I forgot what I sold for. I thought it was $2,000, $18.99, you know. So I designed a small manual hand operated bender that would sell for $2,000, and that saved us.
You should have been clever with that and just sold tree stumps that guys, like, instead of sandbags. You know,
Exactly.
Old school metal shapers.
Right.
You know, they'd be like, that could have been one of those things. That
Yeah, for sure. It could
almost zero cost. People pay you to cut the tree down, and it's free. Yeah.
The Bailey stump. Only the Bailey.
Yeah, it's literally branded inside.
Take your Bailey marketing, dude. You could sell the shit out of that. Right.
I want to touch back on what you said, though, is that a lot of people don't see what it takes to be an owner and the pressure that is. You know, typically people see the outside of it and they're like, oh, must be nice to be able to buy these cars or whatever, like to buy this house or whatever. But the pressure, and that never goes away.
Right.
Like you said, every night before bed, it's like, this doesn't stop up here. It's every day, on vacations, like 24/7. So there's more to it than what's seen just on the outside.
Yeah, and I don't want it to be like, oh, poor pitiful me, you know, business owners and stuff like that or whatever. But I think, like you said, the talking about it and the understanding, or hopefully somebody understands, like you said, the pressure. The pressure is the thing that's difficult to understand when it is, no matter whose job it is, it's high pressure, whatever you've got to do, whatever, you know, everybody wants to, especially if you're working for any of our companies, you want to perform at a highest level. Mm-hmm. At the same time, you can't replicate or you can't create that pressure of 90 other people's well-being and their wives and their kids and their mortgages and stuff like that. That only comes from being a business owner and having that pressure on you. That's the difficult part.
And it's not for everybody. That's the other thing too, is not everybody has the mentality or the wherewithal or the want. They don't have the drive to be a business owner. They might want everything that, all the benefits that come with it, but they don't want to do it.
Yep.
You know, and I don't know if that's coming off correctly or not.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes it takes a tremendous amount of mental strength, you know, to be able to do it. You know,
Perseverance.
yeah.
Fighting through all the shit that wants you.
Yeah.
But you quit every day and you got to keep coming back and
Every
making
day.
it happen every day.
You wear your nut cup every day.
Yeah, what do we say?
Kicking the balls every day.
Every day we get kicked in the nuts. What's next? Keep it coming. I like it now. Yeah, it's fun. Oh, yeah. That's all you got? Hit it harder.
But you have to love it too, and I did. I loved going to work every day, even though all the shit that comes with it. I still liked it.
Almost right. You become addicted to it almost, I think.
It's the same exact little spur or burr of the doubt from the outsider that says you can't, is when those moments happen or whatever, and you think about, like, fuck, who else would deal with this shit? Honestly,
Only
like,
crazy people.
you know, and then it snaps where you're like, oh, like some people can't. So I must now. I must be the difference that does that can persevere through that. That's like that individual small win. This is the craziest fucking shit that I've ever dealt with in my life. I cannot believe this is happening with this employer, I mean, especially through the COVID times when we were like every single day, 14 times a day, the new adventure of, so you're telling me we can't get brakes because a chemical plant in Texas burned down and they make the chemical to make the spray foam that goes in the box and the thing. Fuck that shit. Why are we send somebody out there and pick them up, put them in the back of the truck and bring, and then you work through that problem and then 45 minutes, a new thing. When in the height of all that is when you're like, yeah, let's fucking keep going.
Yeah. Next, bring it on. Next, what's next?
Yeah.
It was a game.
It's fun because you get better at problem solving, and
You do.
You start to control your emotions too, and you learn how to. When somebody comes with a problem to you, they're frustrated and all
Wound up.
and it's awesome to be like, okay, hey, I get it's a problem, we'll figure it out though. Like, what can we do right now to make this a resolution?
Right.
You build a suit of armor.
You do after getting kicked in the
That's a
nuts.
problem.
Yeah, I'll show you. Do you think that it makes you like, maybe I'm just speaking from experience, but a bit of a narcissist in like general society? Because you're so used to dealing with like these complex problems that
for sure.
like in daily life, like these like mundane issues and things, you're like,
Bring everybody else to a halt. And
Like the guy that can't remember steak or chicken at Chipotle. You're like, I've told you 3 fucking times, dude. Like, this is not fucking rocket science.
If you work for me, you'd be fired already.
witnessed it with the lettuce. What happened with the fucking lettuce, right? I mean, goddamn, don't.
Yeah.
can't order a sandwich.
Well, tell them about Burger King.
Burger King today was
So we go there, we order two what are they, Whopper meals, and we only got one.
Yeah.
And we're sitting at the window waiting, and the guy's like, "Do I owe you something?" Yeah, we ordered 2. And he totally had no idea what was
You
going on.
didn't throw the one at him.
No, Dylan tried to fire him.
Well, what did I say when I was rolling around? When I pulled up to the order window or whatever, or to the squawk box, I ordered, and he was like the most dull, boring person I've ever heard in my life. And before I had my window up, before I drove away, I'm like, well, he was a ball of energy.
And I'm like, oh, there we go.
He's like, you never say that before. You have to be away from the window before you start talking shit. And I'm like,
I'll have the one with no spit, please.
That's what we both said. Open up first, make sure there's not a loogie in there.
Every time we go to lunch with him, Jimmy John, Subway, he'll order a sandwich without lettuce. And 9 times out of 10, they put lettuce on.
On top of lettuce. Yeah.
oh yeah, Jimmy John.
Oh, it's like a goddamn salad. It's a salad on bread, right? I want a roast beef sandwich, and number 2, right?
Yeah, that's what I ordered.
Yeah, it's a great sandwich.
It is.
As long as it doesn't have a fucking salad on top of it.
You've never seen, I'm being honest with you, like, you've never seen a tantrum. Like this man when he gets lettuce on a sandwich, if he's asked for no lettuce. Holy shit. Yeah.
So what's up with the lettuce? This is not your thing, or
Oh, no, it's well, I don't like lettuce on my sandwich, right? But I also don't like the fact that I'm like very clear, like
right.
lettuce. And
it's
then
the
I say,
principle that gets you.
It's the principle. It's super clear. I'm not asking for anything like off the wall. I'm not asking you to like jump through hoops, or I want like easy mayo or light meat or so. It's just stuff, right? Yeah. And then it's like they almost are fucking with me, and they put more lettuce.
Oh, those are definitely. You're paying them on the side.
They're 100% fucking with you.
I almost think it is
Extra lettuce.
Yeah. Oh, roadster shop guys are here. Make sure he says extra lettuce.
I have extra lettuce. I have a fit.
And we can't go back to some places.
It's so funny how they ask you to. You'd be like, no lettuce. Be like, no lettuce. Okay.
Oh, right. So it's like,
It is, to your point, though, it is unfair for society
have to deal with this.
have to deal with us. But you do get, you are, and I mean, there's other people out there. I'm not trying to make us like, bigger than we are. Everybody's got stressful jobs that do amazing things. People, doctors and pilots and people that are actually doing real shit. We're not. But we also perform at a fairly high level and are constantly overcoming obstacles that other people don't have to deal with. So when you're accustomed to doing that, the simplest of tasks you don't have much patience for.
I know.
I'm not asking you to make me, the best steak I've ever had. It's just I said steak. You asked me again, chicken? No, steak. Then you're about to put chicken on there. I have to stop you. Said no, steak. And then you look at me with an inquisitive look on your face. Like now I'm frustrated because
Now it's a game, man.
there's only 2 parts of your job, right? And you've grabbed the the flour or corn. We've gotten through 50% of what you have to do, right? So now
We're talking Chipotle.
we're talking Chipotle. Yeah, first. Now the only thing you have to, because once you've put the proper protein on it, it's now off to somebody else because they already knew that those 2 jobs were the max that you were physically able to do, right? So 50% of your job, and you only have 2 choices, you can't handle that part of it. Like 3 times, fucking steak, man, steak. You're putting chicken on it. I want steak. What? That's something that you just can't do. But it's unfortunate.
Put a lot of thought into this. I'm quite impressed. We're passionate.
We're extremely, cognizant of the world.
It's an efficiency thing.
Freaking lunch thing, man.
Yeah, that's what it's all like efficiency because you strive to be like efficient when it's not. In daily life,
Yeah, don't get us talking about like boarding and deboarding a plane. That's completely.
I'm with you, buddy. I'm with you.
Why do they do it from the front? Why don't they like? It should be reversed.
We just talked about this the other day. You should pay
From the back, front, forward.
pay
You load from the back,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Load
And
from
then
the back.
the cheapest seats have to load first. You've got to go all the way to the back and sit there for the longest. You pay the most amount of money for the very front in the best seat, and you have to wait the last. I mean, the least. You get on
the least,
and move, and then guess what? You get off the very fucking first. That's all you got to do.
Why is it though?
The good dude in 33C or whatever that has to be at 13A before the wheels come to a stop or whatever, that motherfucker pisses me off every single fucking time.
Oh no, I've already gotten up and stopped people.
Oh, I've done the leg out.
Oh, I'm like, oh no, you ain't going.
yeah, step out there. I visualize the whole process. Like to me, it's almost like it's like a dance move, or like you're in a boxing match. Like you want to exit your seatbelt, come off, bag over, up, rad, and out. It's like it should be one fluid motion,
Right.
And it's like an ET. You want to get the quickest reaction time.
Oh, I've gone 15 rows with 4 steps in a second and a half off the plane, like cutting through wind. I was nothing on society. Like you didn't even know I was here. It was like you said, it's the same thing. We try to do that.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to be an inconvenience to anybody. Like that's
Right.
I want to exist. I shouldn't bother you. Don't bother me.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, so you mean be just a little cognitive of people around you?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's a new concept.
Be like water. Yeah, just flow through.
Like water.
Yeah.
Why do you think they do it that way though?
I have no idea.
Seriously, think like what's a reasonable answer?
So the people sitting in first class can give you this smirky ass look as you're walking.
as
fast.
fixing their iPhone.
Yeah, but you're sitting there for the longest. I mean, besides the fact that you get a drink and everybody gets to see that you got a drink. I mean, fuck that.
Oh,
Like-
cool! You overpaid for a beer. Nice.
Right.
No, I'm serious. I don't. Why do they do it that
I
way?
don't think there's any common sense in the process.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In the whole airport.
Yeah. It's everybody's first time flying. Every time.
Every time.
Every time.
Oh, it's like driving. Don't get.
Oh, you mean I got to take my shoes off? Oh, you mean I got to take my belt off? Oh, I can't have this knife in my pocket?
Well, that's another way. You're going to the security line.
That's what I mean.
Fucking prepare yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you.
Take everything out of your pocket, put it in your bag, and then you set the bag on and go.
I love the full lace-up boots to the knee too. Like
The thought process starts prior to
before you get to the airport.
wear something, put some slip-ons on, or put an easy.
Yep.
Right out of the shower.
Yeah.
You're picking out your clothes for the day, and you know that you have to travel.
Right.
Okay, and
Yeah.
security. Yeah, probably have to take my shoes off. I'm gonna lace them up to the knees.
All the way to the knees. Yeah. And not just like
I'm gonna double knot.
Really? Everyone put everything in my pockets today. Yeah.
And then I'm gonna
All my entire change jar. Yeah.
and I'm gonna continue to walk through, and it's gonna take me 3 or 4 times before they finally talk
Right.
me into taking everything out of my goddamn pockets.
Yeah.
and then get frustrated with everybody else.
My phone too. I have to take my phone out.
The term everything means everything.
Before we can go right back around, but I wanted to touch on you would convince your brother to come work for you, right? Work together. Y'all gonna do this thing. What were, besides just, sales ramping up, was it just a feeling? What was there some other pivotal things or goals that had been met that you were like, yeah, I know this is going somewhere? Or what made you feel enough to be like, yeah, dude, I think you need to put all the chips in and come?
I was confident with the sales coming in, and I knew what it could be, and we weren't there yet. So website needed improvement. We needed better pictures, more videos, better advertising. And that's my wheelhouse. I love doing that stuff. Like we could be selling this thing better than I even am right now. And I'm like, okay, if we're making sales with what I'm doing with the marketing efforts, I'm like, imagine if I actually focused on the marketing efforts. Like we could probably double in size pretty quickly. So I'm like, it's coming to a point either like, let's keep this a family tradition and bring on family, or hire somebody else. I'm like, I can't pay anybody. So then it's like, I know Dylan doesn't really like what he's doing because we always see each other at family events. And I'm like, let's do this thing. Like, I think I could pay you eventually. Like we could do this thing. And, I just had a feeling. I knew that we weren't where we could have been. And, if I had an extra help, another body, I could focus on the bigger picture of things and help grow the sales. And then, yeah, he came on, and it's so crazy. We start looking back at pictures too of how we were boxing things up. They're on the ground. We had like a duct tape written with permanent marker saying like when they ordered. We had like maybe 15 sitting there at a time, and those 15 would probably take like a week or two to get out because we're doing just so much manual work, and it wasn't efficient at all. But that was the joy of it. Like that was the fun where it's like, okay, how do we, it was step by step. Like, what if we get racking? What if we get racking, be able to open up this room a little bit? So like, it's all these little stepping stones. I'm sure you guys still see it nowadays too. Like as you continue to grow, like that's the joy of it. It's like, yeah, we have a great building right now, but what can we do to make it even better?
Yep.
Can we get to a bigger building? Can we hire more people? Can we make the line more efficient? And that's how it was since the start. And I realized that when I brought Dylan on, and it was a great dynamic because I was more on the sales marketing side and Dylan was more on like the engineering operation side. So it clicked really well. And I think from the start, it was a great dynamic.
But we did everything.
Yeah.
In the beginning. I mean, it was
You were
janitor, you were changing.
That never changes.
No, that never changes. No, I'm still cleaning up the lunchroom, but I mean, you were doing everything, answering emails, you were out in the shop packaging, you were customer service, you were dealing with vendors, the whole deal, driving forklift, unloading trucks. Like,
Do you think that helps you grow the business because you know how everything
Absolutely.
should be done, or you're involved in every aspect of it, so you know how you want to grow it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, especially like when you know how long stuff should take, you know what I mean? Like, then you can really truly understand, what your potential is, right? Because you know what it takes to get there. So you know what standards you can hold people to.
Yep.
Right. And, it's still stuff that we deal with every day.
I think that's a great point is if you're starting off founding a business, it's important to try to do everything.
It is.
Do marketing, do sales, do operations, like learn how to weld. Like you have to know all facets of the company, because how are you going to bring somebody in and train them how to do it if you don't even know how to do it yourself?
Oh yeah.
And that's at all stages of the company too. Like I love to get active in every field of the industry or of the company right now, even though like I don't know anything about welding, but I'll still go in there like, hey, how are you guys doing this process? I want to see it because I want to know it. I don't want to just, never come out here and you guys never see me throughout the day.
Right.
Oh yeah.
That's where I was touching on with, starting from the bottom and learning it all versus, like he said, just kind of getting plugged in and your dad's kids running the business.
Yeah. Oh, they're definitely doing it. They're doing it all.
From the bottom up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. You're forced to, because you have no other option,
It's interesting for me to see the guys that you put in those positions that you've done and to watch them like exceed what you did, right? Because you put a lot of people in those positions and they sucked, right?
Right.
But when you put guys in those positions and you're like, holy shit, dude, this dude is cranking. Like, and I've watched it, like, both me and Phil have done most everything. I mean, me on the fabrication and hands-on side, and like, we both created chassis, and like, now you're watching Jack freaking like crank, right? And it's impressive,
Yeah.
And the frame rail is the same thing. Like, I used to be like the frame rail man, right? I'd stack them to the ceiling.
Like a frame rail boy at the time.
Man boy. And that stood for a long time. Well, now the dude's doing the frame rails. I'm like, maybe sometimes I tell him, but I'm like, Jesus Christ, like you guys are fucking killing it.
But more appreciation because you know how much
you do. Yeah, and I enjoy that too, because I know how to do it and I enjoy doing it, and I like learning now from them. Like some of the things that they do, and you're looking at like, oh, how are you finishing that like inside radius, and you kind of casually check it out, and you're like, that's pretty cool. But to watch that's what I think makes the business great is all those things, and you were good at them,
Yep.
but you've put people in place that became better.
I think it helps the growth of the business too, knowing how it was done at the base level to then add technology, add processes, and make it better. If you don't know how to do that, you're just buying random equipment and throwing it in there and
Right.
Exactly.
hoping it can make it better. But
Right. You're bringing people on and being like, hey, figure this out, instead of you figuring it out first and bringing people on like, hey, this is how I have it done. How can we make it better?
Right.
You know? But yeah, Dylan came on, started growing even more to the point where we're like, hey, we need to actually hire an employee and pay them. Because we're getting to that point where like, okay, I think we can start paying somebody like, 18, 19 bucks an hour. We needed a lot of welding done. Because at this point, my dad was still welding the rails.
Yeah, I don't want to do that no more.
For free.
So that's where it was tough. I'm like, we would sit down and be like, fuck, dad's free though.
Yeah. That's profit.
Price is right.
I'm hammering out rails, welding seat posts, delivered. We're meeting halfway from our houses to drop off parts so you could ship them out. I'm welding more. I'm like, I thought I retired. What the hell am I doing?
We reached that point with the truck driver too. Our dad was driving the truck.
Yep.
Yeah, for free.
Right?
When you've got to hire a full-time truck driver, it's getting expensive.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's tough to part with that.
Yeah, it hurts a little bit.
there's a lot less angry customers calling.
This is true.
Yes.
That's traffic violation.
Got a phone call one time. I was driving down 53 and a guy in your semi truck flicked me off and threw a coffee cup at me.
And that's your dad?
My dad. I'm like, hey, Dad, we got a 44-foot Roadster Shop banner behind you on the trailer with the website and the phone number. Don't chuck your coffee at people. Flip them off.
Flick them off, but you don't throw the fucking coffee. One or the other.
If it was Roadster Shop, that'd be fine. But you guys had the phone number out there too.
Yeah, the website.
Yeah, the website.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. That'll never happen again. I assure you that driver is getting fired.
Did you guys have that? Did you guys have that sticker on the back like?
How's my driving?
How's my driving?
No.
Call this number.
Absolutely not.
But yeah, we brought on our first employee, and that's when it got really fun, and obviously more difficult too, because like we were talking before, it's like, okay, now we have to, like, this person's relying on us to continue to pay their bills.
Sure.
But it was cool because it changed from how big can we make this company, and like we always obviously dreamed of having the big houses and nice cars, etc. But when we hired the first employee, it changed quickly. It changed to, how do we make this person the best that they can? How can we give this person all the opportunity to grow in this company with us, because they're your first employee.
Yep.
And then you start bringing more and more on. It's like, dude, this is awesome. Like, we're changing lives here by providing jobs. And that just continued like year after year. And it totally ignored, like, of course you got to make money and you got to make sure the bills are being paid, but instead it turned into personal development for the employees, and we still hold that standard every single day for the first person that we employ. Like, hey, this is a different job than what you're used to. Like, we're going to challenge you. We're going to hold you accountable. And like, we want to see personal growth, versus previous jobs, you just go in, clock out. And
Right.
It's kind of clockwork. But here it's like, I want to see you get better. I want to see not only you bust ass here, but I want to see you go to the gym after. Like, I want to see you start, what are you doing to make your family life better? You know what I'm saying? It's little things like that to where we start to like take all these people underneath our wings.
Yeah.
And that's been the most motivational thing is our first employee now is managing the entire weld team. So it's so cool to see that, like, he's proven to us that he's worth that position, and he
Right.
knows it like the back of his hand.
Yeah.
How many employees do you have now?
30,
30? 31?
31, I think. Yeah. So year ago we're at 10.
Yeah,
growth.
yeah, 10 or 12.
It's great because they surpassed me at RMD when I was there. My max was 28, I believe, at our peak.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yes. How have you got that split up? Like, what's the shop floor like?
It's about 50-50. Yeah, it's pretty good because, we're a little different than like RMD, obviously, because he didn't do any of the marketing. We got the entire marketing team, we got sales team, and we got fabrication and warehouse all under one roof.
Sure.
So that's multiple different departments, that need managing. And yeah, it's so cool. And I think you should touch on our second hire a little bit.
Levi?
No, Alex.
Oh, Alex, yeah. Wasn't Alex first?
No, technically Drake was first.
Well, Drake first. Oh, yeah, then Alex. So you guys met Alex. Alex was here. And I think you guys were talking with him on Instagram and everything too. But Alex was our second hire, and he's head of brand and partnerships. So he handles like pretty much all the connections, relationships, and cultivates them, and gets us in new shops. So he was actually like one of our first customers, and he lives down in Orlando, Florida, and he purchased one of our chairs because he was a detailer. So his Instagram handle was Lex Garage, and he had a big following in the detail world. And he came to, he saw our product or whatever online, because before he bought our product, he actually was rolling around on one of those cheap stools, and he hit a crack and like twisted his knee, and it just bulged.
Oh, wow.
And like he was out of work for like 2 or 3 weeks because detailing at that point he was making money on. And he bought one of our chairs, got it, and like he put it together. He's like, holy shit, this is exactly what I needed. And he's like, I called you guys right away, and I'm like, how can I be a part of this? You know, he's like, I want to be a part of this. At this point, he was a paralegal, so he was making good money. And he's like, I hate my job, I'm making more money than I need, but like I'm miserable, like I'm not happy at all. And I'm like, hey man, I would be honest with you, like we're not at the point where I can't pay you, like we don't have the money where we can pay you.
I love your enthusiasm. Yeah. I want to take all of your work. I just cannot give you money for it.
Yeah,
For real.
And the craziest thing is he came back. He's like, that's fine.
There's no wonder you are the guy in sales.
Hey,
I've got multiple people quit successful jobs and come.
This is going to be the opportunity of a lifetime.
But you know, we just set the expectation clear. Like, man, we can't pay you. Like, if you want to come on board, that's great. Like, we will be able to pay you eventually. And he took the risk because he's like, I see what you guys are doing here. He had the same like big picture thinking that I had of like what we could turn this thing into.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, cool, let's do it. So he worked for free for 3 months and ran our social media. And then we got to a point where we just continued to grow, and we're like, okay, we'll start paying you now. And he's like, cool, I'm going to quit my full-time job, and I'm going to come on board with you guys. And ever since then, it's been history. Like, Alex has been our right-hand man for everything.
That's awesome.
And he's down in Orlando, but like he is a founder, and the dude's awesome. Like, he's a brother to us now. He's family.
What do you guys think the key to your growth is? Is it the product, the marketing, new products? I mean, how do you go that quickly getting that scaling that much?
I truly believe it's a product. So the reason I say that is when we came into the industry, the cheapest chair or the most expensive chair was maybe $100, right? Shop chairs.
Yep.
And we came in the industry at that point, like 400 for like our first edition. So we got hammered,
Of course.
by people. Too expensive.
Yep.
Like, hell no, I'm not buying this. There's no way. And at this point, it's hard to combat that because you have no product out there. So it's like, this is something that you have to see and feel and touch and actually use to understand the quality of it.
Yep.
And
It also makes you doubt your decision too.
It does.
Like, fuck, you know, is this worth it? You know, just getting totally hammered on social media, like
Every day.
day in and day out. It makes you like, it just wears on you. You know what I mean? But you gotta get good at
Don't read the comments.
fuck up. You know?
Yeah, we talked. That's Joe Rogan's advice.
Yep.
Never read the comments.
yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So we just kept getting hammered by comments of it's a shitty product. And we're like, okay, we need to get more chairs out there. Like, let's just give this at cost. Like, I just want people to have this because I believe in the product. And more people eventually got it, and word of mouth started to grow. Like, it wasn't overnight. It was like barely day by day, but it started to grow.
But some of those comments I remember reading was like, I just got this chair, and they're like, holy fuck, it's worth every penny.
You would get both.
We'd get both. And now I was like, okay, because I was getting nervous too. I'm like, maybe this is a little over the mark, but I was like, just get one once instead of it. But people pay, you know, this chair here is probably $800 that you're sitting, maybe more. I don't know, you know, but I'm like, this is a tool that people are using for their shop. It's just like a tool that you use for anything else. And it's an important tool. And it just was never attacked, I don't think.
So look at it this way. It's like, okay, if you're a detailer, welder, fabricator, and you're sitting all day, that's your office, right? Somebody behind the computer screen, that's their office. And they'll buy a $1,500 chair. Why wouldn't a welder?
Right.
If you're sitting there all day long. And I knew that in my heart. And I'm like, we just need to get this out there. And more eventually people got it. And when we were designing the product too, you didn't touch on it too much, but like we made lists of like, what is the main problems you're experiencing when you're welding?
Yeah, pretty much.
Solved all of those, you know, wide base to prevent tipping, casters to prevent tipping, like you glide over. Yeah.
Well,
Makes you a better welder.
For me, the foot rail was real important, and a lot of people questioned why a foot rail. And when I was the first one I made, that was critical to me because when I mean, maybe it's just the way I weld, but I like to have my foot up and I can rest my arm on my knee like that. And it was, to me, it was just perfect, the perfect angle and the perfect place to put your foot. And then you could use your other foot to roll yourself around. And I was adamant that I wanted a foot rail. You guys, because it's a pain in the ass to make, but I think it is an important part of the chair.
It's a pain in the ass to make until you see the piece of equipment that you made to make it.
That's nuts.
That was pretty good. But yeah, we just continue to grow the market, grow the industry, and we just had faith that like this, people are going to get this in their hands and be like, damn, I'm going to take my comment back saying it's too expensive, and I'm going to delete that and post something saying like, okay, this thing's pretty good, you know? So to answer the question in a long-ended way is, I would say it's the product that really helped the growth, because it solves all the problems that people were experiencing and that people just put up with because there wasn't another option. And then as we continue to grow, we can invest in more people that brought another, like Alex helped tremendously with the brand. Like it was okay. Like we had a presence, but when he came in, the pictures and photography and videos that he was taking just put a whole different edge to our company, and people could relate to it, you know? So that helped a ton as well.
What was the first major trade show y'all went to where people could see and touch, feel, and sit in them?
Bear Jackson in Houston.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
Yep. There's a funny story.
It's a good spot for that product. You know, like it's,
Well, not the Houston show, but
Well, we did sell quite a bit of product there.
we did. But the Scottsdale one would have been. But you guys went to Scottsdale though.
No, we never been
Oh, you
to Scottsdale. No. But Dayne and I flew out to Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Beforehand, just to see what Bear Jackson was all about. We did a 1-day trip. Flew out to Vegas in the morning, went to Bear Jackson all day, flew home from Vegas. That sucks. Don't do that. But anyway, we're like, okay, let's try it out, right? We saw the other vendors there. There's obviously people there with money, you know, wanting to buy stuff. So it seemed like a good fit, right? So we got signed up for the next one, which was Bear Jackson in Houston, and we still didn't have any money at the time. So it's like, we can't afford to really ship anything down there. So, hey, do you want to load up your car and drive down to Houston, Texas with a whole back full of chairs? Well,
We packaged it in a way of like, hey, do you and mom have been busy. Like,
Y'all should go on a trip to Houston.
yeah.
Oh, this is not a good part of Houston.
They got palm trees. It's beautiful. Yeah.
He really is a salesman.
nah, you guys have been working your ass off. I think you need a trip to Houston. Seriously. Okay, let's do it. All right, cool. So what we're gonna do is pack up the
truck full to the brim. Can't get another suitcase in it.
No, it was the complete hood.
Yeah, it was hood.
There was hood.
You would get wanted to go into any bars or restaurants around there. But, I mean, you guys seem to have fun.
So we found the sketchiest freaking bar in the area we were at. It was bad.
She's sketchiest. So
Shouldn't have been there.
when we left, there was like an attempted murder there.
Oh,
yeah, we go out in Chicago, so we're
yeah.
Yeah, you guys are like, oh, big deal.
You're like, all right, what's the big deal with that?
So they didn't succeed, huh? Failure.
Work on this.
Should have tried it harder.
But anyway, our first trade show was at Bear Jackson, and it was just us, Dayne and I. We had our booth. We just got it. We had it shipped there, right? Our exhibit or whatever, and only half of it came.
Ooh.
And we're like, fuck, like not off to a good start. So we set half of it up on an angle, made it look kind of good, you know, and that was really our first time having the product out to people and seeing their reactions in person. You know what I mean? And I think we were both a little surprised at how well it was perceived, right? So as soon as everybody sat down in it, wow, this is nice. And they scoot around. They're like, yeah.
smart us because they've been walking around.
That too, right? And, you know, especially the guys that know what it takes to make stuff. You know, they look at it like, damn, this thing's legit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then we'll tell them the price and be like, oh, that's not bad. I'm like, all right. You know?
Yeah, there's the right amount of money at Barrett for the product for sure. Of course.
You need to go to Scottsdale for sure.
You've got to. That's exactly the difference. Having a high-end product out there, people realize it. And that comment is exactly it. It's like usually you tell people the price and they're like, shh, that's insane.
Right.
There, it's like, oh, it's actually, yeah, I see that. That's reasonable.
Once you see it and touch it and feel it, you can justify the price. You're like, okay. A lot of the times we got people saying, oh, that's it?
Yeah.
Seriously, like at SEMA last year, people were like, shit, that's not bad at all.
I think the biggest take, like it's an amazingly well built, engineered, everything is awesome. The first sit, obviously the comfort's there, but the initial torque or lack thereof that it takes for movement is what was my biggest blow away, because you're so used for 25 years or whatever, or that little bit of, ass shimmy to get that thing to roll, but then it doesn't continue roll. It's, you know what I'm saying? So when you just kind of like move and glide, you're like, wow, dude, it's just so different.
I've taken a dive I've had a Craftsman roll around stool that has a little back rest on it, and I've had the Harbor Freight one. I've taken a dive on both of them from them shitting a caster out of them. You're pushing back like you're welding something, you push away, and the fucking caster rolls out from underneath it and right off the back of it.
Right. I hope we got that on the security camera.
That's pre-security cameras.
We had one of our customers actually reached out to us. He's like, before I bought your chair, the reason that made me buy it is he was tattooing somebody's arm and his hydraulics gave out. So when he was tattooing, when he fell, he went down the guy's entire arm. So he's like, I had to buy a chair. Yeah.
It's a great product because of the crossover of how many, the spread of the different markets that it can go into.
It can go in any.
I mean, I imagine hospitals is going to be huge. I mean, the detail world's massive. Tattoo, right? It's like you just don't think of all the places where that can live. I'm sure certainly you guys have thought of it, but it's that exact product like you brought earlier. Like, what can you make that applies to everything, everybody? And it's a great idea. It's kind of one of those ideas where you're like, fuck, why didn't I think of that?
It's so crazy too when you break it down to it's a roll around chair. Like in 2023, how it just goes to show you it doesn't matter the product if you think about it with a fresh set of eyes, and tackle some problems. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, it's wild.
But better mousetrap.
Yes.
There's more that goes behind it too of what I believe our customer service is phenomenal. So you call any of our guys, they're going to answer the question immediately. You don't call in and have to punch through a bunch of numbers. You call directly to a person. So not only that, but the entire experience that the customer gets, not only is it a great product, but the packaging is great. We didn't cut any corners on the packaging. The foam has legit foam cutouts for every single part to make sure that it doesn't damage in shipping. We have nice assembly guides to make it as easy as possible to assemble. So it's all those little things that we went into fine detail to make sure that it was the best experience for the customer when they received it. Almost like when you receive a Apple Mac and you pull off the top and it's it's pretty cool.
You got something.
Yeah,
it makes all the difference in the world.
And a lot of these chairs are going to gearheads and people that like to turn wrenches. And when they get it and put it together, putting it together is half the experience.
Right.
It's kind of fun, like the giant fancy erector set.
Yep.
How long after the first one did you start coming out with new additional designs, and what sparked all that?
Yeah, so it started with our first and most popular models of Robustio Max, and then I think that was just our test. We're like, okay, let's see if there's something here, and we started selling more units. I'm like, what else can we?
There was a lot of it was customer input.
It was, and then people are like, "Hey, I work at a higher workstation. Can you guys make a more elevated model?" And of course, I'm like, "Yeah, what can we do?" And next day he comes back, like, "What do you think?" I'm like, "Put it in production. Let's do it. Let's make a sample. Let's make a product and test it out. Use it to make sure that it doesn't fail and it works well." But majority of our products come from customer feedback. They're saying, "Hey, this is what I do every single day. Can you make a chair for this use?" And it's like, cool, let's go into design mode. And all of our attachments, we have the big boy attachment. We had a lot of guys that will reach out and be like, "Hey, I'm a big boy. Can you guys make a bigger seat?" And
sure can.
We're like, sure can. And we're going to name it that too. So pretty much every attachment's been from customer feedback, suggestions. And once we get a mass, it's not if one person says it, if it's a mass amount, we're like, okay, there's got to be something here, and then we explore it, make prototypes, and then go from there.
Well, you guys are doing an absolute phenomenal job. The marketing, the product itself, and you're great guys too. So congratulations and the best of luck. I don't think you're going to need it. I think you're going, obviously the growth is showing it, and the sky's the limit. Where did Vyper Energy come from? Along these lines, as all this is going on, I assume that you've just got a lot of free time on your hands and you're just like, you know what we should do is.
So it came from just kind of what we were talking about before, the hours that you put in throughout the day, you need to continue to push, and you get tired, you get lazy throughout the day. So we were drinking all the essentially shitty energy drinks.
Is this drinkable?
That's beer.
Oh, inside of it? Is it? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Okay.
So those were.
We'll just cut that part out. Oh, this is cool. See?
Sorry.
We don't have any real product.
we're getting there.
unfortunately.
Yeah. This will be posted after.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Vyper Energy came when we were working countless hours and we're drinking all the garbage, and we weren't really feeling any effects from it. Like we weren't getting that caffeine rush. We weren't feeling like the jolt of energy that we were promised. But not only that, like I'm a type 1 diabetic, so I was drinking all the sugar-free ones, sugar-free, carb-free, no calories. And while I was drinking it, my blood sugar was spiking.
It's probably tasted great too.
Yeah, right. And, well, it was all artificial sweetened, so I'm drinking this stuff and I'm like, if it's carb-free and sugar-free, why is it spiking my blood sugar? And I did more research on it. I looked at the ingredients and I found that it was all majority artificial sweeteners, artificial flavoring, artificial ingredients. And what I researched was those ingredients act as similarly to sugar. It spikes blood sugar.
Still, yeah, glucose spike. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm like, clearly there's something here. I did some research in the industry and I'm like, there's really nothing that fits the brand and style that we have. We're a super patriotic brand, and a lot of the larger brands, it kind of ignore that. They hide it, they brush it on the rug. I'm like, let's be a brand that promotes America, and let's make an energy drink that's clean for the backbone of this country. Blue collar workers, our troops, firefighters, police officers, those that typically don't think that they need the nutrition because they're sucking down monsters. And it's like, you guys are working the hardest. You need some clean feel. And then we just kind of tossed around the idea. We're like, hey, we have a cool brand here. What if we made an energy drink? We started designing some cans, and we're like, okay, cool. We have a cool can. Let's do this thing. And we're like, well, what are we going to put in it? Neither of us are nutritionists. So we're like, we need to find a nutritionist, because otherwise you can't just Google, what are good things to put in an energy drink. And we hired a full-time nutritionist that just graduated from school, and he's a U.S. veteran as well. We met him at a coffee shop and just clicked with him right away.
That's awesome.
We're like, hey, you're hired. Like, let's do this thing. Formulated it, no artificial ingredients. You have all 9 essential amino acids. You have 150 milligrams of caffeine from green tea extract. And we have something called L-theanine in there. So L-theanine is a nootropic. When you combine that with caffeine, it gives you just complete ton of focus. And you have some vitamins in there. You have magnesium, zinc, so some minerals as well. But the main thing is that it's all natural. So we want to be that brand where there's no BS, where you walk into the store, you see Vyper, and you can trust it. There's no doubt in your mind that it's garbage.
Dude, I'm super excited. I've been excited ever since you told me about it. I gave up Red Bulls about 6 months ago, and I'm jonesing for some
Me too. So I've been jonesing for it ever since they mentioned it, because I drink Coke, and which is horrible for you, but I need my caffeine from somewhere.
Yeah, we came up in the era like pre-energy drinks when we were really thrashing and burning the midnight oil. So it was like Mountain Dews, man. I'm talking about Mountain Dews, baby.
Yeah,
just Russian Mountain Dews and beef jerky. That was it. Like you'd be working all night long, and that was the only thing. You're not drinking coffee. Like they didn't even have like the K cups and stuff, so you're not brewing a cup of a whole pot of coffee. But that's great. I mean, I feel like in today's day and age, everybody's looking for what is that takes you like to the next level. Everybody wants to perform at a higher level
and be real shit.
Yeah,
exactly.
Not fake shit.
Right.
Well, that's one big thing I'd like to touch on. So when we were formulating this drink, we were researching companies and stuff that would put it together for us, and source all the ingredients and then mix it all together and give us samples. A lot of people we talked to are like, "Oh yeah, we have a Red Bull blend. We can slap your name on the label and you're good to go."
Yeah.
No, that's not what we want to do. Like, we want to make our own drink. They're like, what? Like, it totally. No,
but it's done, right? You just put your.
Yeah, you're like, well, we have this Red Bull blend. You can just use that. We're like, no, like, we want to do our own. Like, but there's just no effort. You know what I mean? And
it's assembly line. They've got it going. They got it rolling. They don't want to, like you said, they don't.
Different label on the can.
Just switch cans.
Exactly.
Yep.
And you see such a large influx of energy drinks in the market right now. And if you actually looked at the ingredients, they're all similar. So even if there's some brands that I thought I trusted, that I look at the ingredients and they have Ace K and sucralose in there, which are 2 artificial sweeteners. And it's like, you guys are lying on the front of you're lying on the front of the can. You know,
Right.
you're being deceiving marketing where they might say,
I'm sure some lawyer worded it where they're
Right.
exactly lying.
Yeah.
So they have such a minute amount in there that
Yeah.
so what they'll
doesn't
do is
do
like,
anything.
there's artificial flavoring, there's artificial sweeteners, there's artificial coloring, but they might say no artificial coloring, you know, but okay, they might have artificial flavoring or sweeteners in there,
Right.
You know, so it's just a marketing twist, and you know, we really want consumers to grab a Vyper Energy and trust the ingredients that are going into their body.
I'm intrigued by, I mean, everything about it, but I'm more intrigued about like the fact of that's one thing to sit down at lunch after he's thrown all of his lettuce off the sandwich and be like, you know what we ought to do? We ought to do a fucking energy drink company, you know? And then actually doing it, like without going too deep in the woods, how hard is actually doing a product that requires people putting it in their bodies? You know, there's a lot of other hoops that have to be jumped through in addition to just getting it made the way you want it to be made.
Please say extremely hard so we don't have to go down that road with his fucking stupid ideas. Dude, they said it was easy.
a non-lettuce restaurant. So that's even.
We're just a lettuce restaurant. You go in the expectations are like, this is where they serve
It
salads.
was one restaurant split in the middle.
Yeah,
Lettuce, no lettuce.
exactly.
Yeah. But in all seriousness, like it's got to be a shit ton of fucking work.
Yeah.
From the legality standpoint, I mean, with FDA or whatever it is.
Yeah, there's a lot of hoops you got to jump through. Like I said, we want to be a transparent brand. Like if you look on the back of there, we actually show all the dosages of each ingredient that's in there. Typically, if you look at other energy drinks, they don't put the exact amounts that are in there.
Once it gets below a certain amount, they just list them.
Correct.
Right.
So like
Other ingredients or something that they say.
there's an energy drink out there that just had a lawsuit with Monster because they were, you know, technically lying on their can. They said super creatine, but they did research and it was a microdose. So it's like, it's those kind of marketing twists that these companies do to make you think that you're actually getting that super creatine. But all transparent on the back of the can. We have the exact dosages, but there's a lot of hoops you have to jump through to make sure you don't claim that it solves anything. You know, so like Vyper Energy doesn't solve anything. It'll just make you feel better. You know, it could potentially help you with X, Y, and Z. You know, so those were some of the main hoops that you had to jump through to make sure that you're not promising anything to the end consumer, because everyone's different in the end.
But like you told me, I mean, you can't promise that it will, but you can't also say that you don't know that it won't regrow hair or add a couple inches. Like, we don't know. That's the thing.
Red Bull got sued because it didn't give you actual wings.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Story, yeah.
Fucking
Who
bullshit.
the fuck sues? Because
Somebody sued Red Bull for multi-millions of dollars because they didn't get wings.
Can I use that one and go after him again?
Yeah, well,
If you weren't part of the class
shit ton of
action
us.
lawsuit, then you probably can't. But
they changed their slogan. It no longer says, "We'll give you wings." It's
Yeah. I'm
that.
pretty sure a dude jumped off a roof.
yeah, he did not grow wings.
he does not deserve $1. You know what he deserves? Everything he just got. That's
That's Darwin's theory right there.
exactly. Exactly.
There's something to be said for that, though. Like the big thing now, you go on Instagram. You know, like I said, everybody wants to perform at a higher level, me included. So you're always looking for things that give you more energy, make you more focused. And I start coming across like, you know, you get past like the nootropics, right? That's a big thing right now. And then like mushroom blends, right? Mushroom everything, like mushroom. And I'm talking about like hallucinogen mushrooms, but mushroom tea, mushroom coffee. So
And you're a huge mushroom fan.
no, I fucking hate mushrooms, right? I hate mushrooms worse than lettuce. But I'm like,
I feel you, brother.
the way they sold this, right? They've got this, it's like a coffee alternative, right? You take this, it's a mushroom mix.
I've almost gone down the road of buying that a few times,
So-
and then I realized it's mushrooms.
Yeah, so I got it. And I take it and I'm like, today I'm going to conquer the day, right? I'm going to take this fucking mushroom coffee. I'm going to be like just crushing it. Sit down, get to work, sit down. Dude, everything starts spinning, right?
No shit.
Yeah, my whole fucking world is
Buy it on Amazon.
spinning.
Was it purple mushrooms?
No, it's just it's a legit product.
Yeah.
I did. I think I did buy it. It was expensive too. It was like $40 for this
Well,
little.
then it had to be good.
Yeah, dude, it fucked me up all day. The whole fucking day. It's dizzy as shit. That was when you walked up here. I had to actually come up and lay on the fucking floor because I was so fucked up.
Over some fucking mushroom coffee?
Yeah.
That could be a good marketing play for them.
Right. But once again, a pretty good example of why you need to disclose like what this can and can't do, because they're like, this will solve everything.
right?
I mean, they said it giving. You said inches. It said like multiple inches.
We don't know. Nobody knows.
Take whatever you could get, right?
Yeah. But seriously, yeah, we're super excited about this. And if you're listening right now, you may possibly be able to get it. If not, like super soon.
Correct.
Like super soon.
Where is it going to be sold?
Be sold on vyperenergy.com. So VYPER energy.com. We're also looking to get in some more resellers as well, some more grocery stores, gas stations, etc. So hopefully it's something that you can pick up on your way to work in the morning.
That'd be awesome. That when you guys have that ready to roll, we want to hook up with you guys to get whatever it takes to get it stocked in the shop.
Absolutely.
We want to be
I watched like, what do you think? What do you think the percentage is? 50-60% of the guys rolling with a Monster Energy.
probably 80%.
Yeah. And I look at him like, dude, it's a fucking heart attack.
It's so bad for you.
Or kidney stones.
Yeah. Yeah, one or the other.
Yeah, we want to,
Nothing good's coming out of it.
like your boy Alex said, we want to be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. We already have a fridge design for you guys.
Awesome.
Kick ass. Awesome.
It looks pretty sick. So I'm excited for you guys to see it.
I'm keep looking over his shoulder and seeing something that I think would work perfect with this.
What is that?
You go behind that bottle of New Riff there.
What do we got? It's John York.
It's a uncanny resemblance, I think.
Between, you think so?
Of him?
Him and you.
Oh, me?
Oh, he's got a little.
He looks like he could be a Rush brother.
He's got a little less hair than we do, but he's close. He's definitely got your style beard.
Well, that and a koozie.
Yeah, John.
He's got blue eyes.
The
too.
John York koozie is finally being identified.
Yep.
It was like hidden too. You picked
He's been hidden for 60 something episodes, and we finally pulled him out in the light of day.
Looking over his shoulder and seeing it, I'm like,
Well, I'll leave him there now. Now he's out.
Get it out. I'm excited to see where this goes, though, guys. I got to tell you, like, I followed the success of your chair, and I see the marketing all over. And when I met you guys, there's something that just like pops with you. You guys have got like a hell of a lot of energy. The whole crew, you guys just seem like dudes that
We want to hang out with.
Yeah, not only do we want to hang out with, but like anything you touch just seems like it's going to be a success. You guys have got,
That's awesome.
you guys
Well, thank you.
like the magic touch, and it's you guys very cohesive, great thing going. So I'm excited to see where this goes. I hope it explodes, and
Yeah.
I'd love to see.
That's no bullshit. That's serious.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it a lot.
That's awesome. Thank you.
There's been a lot of meetings held in this room with all types of different people, and when y'all guys left, whatever, it was one of the, like, we all unanimous are like, yeah, these guys are fucking doing something. Yeah.
we need to do some bad, dude.
Yes. Most of the time it's like, hey, he's fucking
You're the
horrible.
loudest.
Shit.
Get out of here. That's good. I think there's a lot with the Midwest. You know what I mean? Like people from the Midwest just click better, and it's not
So too.
business. And I think we touched on something when we came for our first visit. Never trust the guy in a suit, right?
Damn right.
Like,
Yeah.
you can't. And it's just something about here in the Midwest. It's no bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, what you see is what you get.
Yeah,
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, we like to go on riverboat gambling rides. We like to do at the door. I mean, this is the type of things we do.
We love cheetah hairstyles. No lettuce on our sandwiches.
I can go to Chipotle and chew the guy out that did our sandwich wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how nice we are. Poor guy at Chipotle.
Well, going all the way back to RMD and Rush Design, through all of that time, I mean, I know you were showing some pictures. We've got to bring the picture book out and talk about some. You were in cars, obviously, all the way through doing all this, machine design and stuff.
I was, so Mike, I mean, we can.
I'll see that bottle there.
My early, you put a little bit in here too. Yeah, never mind.
But what's your Instagram?
It's Chris_Rusch, RUSCH.
Okay. Anybody that's listening to this has got to follow, check it out. The stuff that you do, and it's
Oh, thank you.
it's mind blowing. It's like when you talk about the father-son relationship. When you want your dad to do something for you. Like these guys asked, they had a problem. They had to make a ring on a chair. Dad builds a whole piece of equipment that makes a perfect. So can we pull that up, Josh?
That's actually like one of our most viewed videos too. It got like 1 million views.
And that is,
I knew you were going to ask.
I geeked out over that. I've watched it like a whole mess of times.
Just you keep talking,
Yeah.
and
Okay. Yeah, we'll get back to the pictures, but how does that come about?
So, I mean, it was okay. So here's the deal with the rails we were having rolled. I knew they could be made, and I had designed ring rollers in the past, but they were just the standard ring roller style, just 3 rollers, sent it through.
Yeah.
And those don't work all that well for doing a designated radius all the time and just kind of throw the tube in and go. So we weren't really trying to make stuff at a different radius. We knew what we needed to make. So this machine was more specialized just to make that part. So it was kind of designed around that part.
Yep.
So what it was I took all my experience in the past. I kind of knew what I needed it to do. And I just took my experience from machine design and made this machine do it on how I thought it would roll it the best.
Yep.
And I had to give it more power. So my first try at it, I had too weak of a motor on it and didn't have enough juice to do it. So I put on a bigger motor, bigger gearbox. And I remember you guys were up that time and we were testing it because we were getting hammered. So we were having these things made outside a different company. They were doing a great job, but the price was just, it was just too much. We couldn't do it. So I'm like, well, I'll make this machine and we'll do it. So we were up at the shop and I'm prototyping it. I bought some metal and we sent it through. And the first time it stalled out, I'm like, it needs a bigger motor. Put a bigger motor on it. And it zinged it right up.
It was a Vyper motor too.
It is a Vyper motor. Yeah, exactly.
NOS.
Yeah, that's the video right there.
Nice.
Yeah, there it is. So, and so the far roller to the right is adjustable up and down, and that's what controls your radius. The other 3 are just drivers, and the center roller is actually adjustable also, and that pushes down a little bit. So between those 2, you can dial it in.
Sure.
So, but once it's dialed in, it's consistent. It does the same thing every time.
Unbelievable. So a piece of equipment like this, like the dies, are you manually turning those on a lathe?
Well,
Are you designing them and you get like a buddy with the CNC?
Yeah, I mean, if I would have had my old shop, my guys would have whipped that out in an afternoon, no problem. So I just used one of my old suppliers.
Okay.
And they cut them for me. But all the other parts I made on my CNC, all the square stuff.
I mean, I once made a tool where I was tipping flanges. So I took a little piece of aluminum and I cut a slot in it. And I used that to tip flanges. And I was pretty proud of that. Yeah. That was an advanced piece. I still have it in my toolbox.
Cut a couple wrenches apart.
But
and as deep as you cut that, that's as deep as the flange goes, right?
Yeah,
That's it. Just like that.
Yeah.
So it's a great machine. And, one thing that you don't see with typical ring rollers is all the rollers are driven.
Okay.
So every roller has power to it. And that's what makes it work so well, in my opinion. If you didn't have them all driven, it would probably just sit there and spin and stall.
Yeah.
So all of them are pushing it through. And that's kind of the magic behind that design.
You have any friction cut on those
No.
wheels?
No, they're adjustable so you can put squeeze on it.
I got you, but there's just the surface on it.
Yeah. So they're cut a little shallow in the radius so I can actually bite the tube.
I got you.
So it's not 100% deep.
Well, back to our, I'll flip.
So, yeah, I mean, the pictures are there's a lot of stuff going on there. So those pictures right there are when I worked for Mark Garish. And that Ferrari pictures, I used to work for him part-time on the side. So when I was working at that previous company, that company was called Omega when we did the high-speed wrapping equipment. At night, I'd come home from that job and then I'd go work by Mark. And so you've met Mark.
I did. I've met Mark.
So
where's Mark at nowadays?
He's in Green Bay.
Okay.
So he was a big influence in my metal shaping career. I don't really have a career in metal shaping, but in my metal shaping influence.
Sure.
In that I worked for him part-time. And when I was working there at night, he was building Cobras and Ferraris and stuff as you see there from scratch. And, I was, sweeping floors at that time. I wasn't really anything, but I was into cars. I was always into cars. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy's building cars from nothing. I just couldn't believe it. He's making panels and he's, hammering out aluminum bodies for, Ferraris and Cobras and stuff. And I couldn't get enough of it. I just was, any chance I could go over there, I would go over there. So a lot of those first up until the page before that was all Mark's stuff. So those are all projects that I had a little bit to do with, nothing major. I might have helped, I might have waxed it or something, so I didn't know what I was doing at all at the time. But anyhow, Mark had all these metal shaping equipments. He had the Yoder, he had a Eckhold, he had Pullmax, all the metal shaping stuff. And I was always in my head as like, oh, man, this stuff is amazing to me. I really, really dug it. So time goes on. I build my car. You can see some of the panels as that goes on, the aluminum panels for that. I had a little part in that. Mark did most of it.
That's no small task, though, Josh. If you flip back, we discussed this a little when we took a little break. Well, back to the Countach. Back in that era, your 90s, how do you scale? How do you scale a Countach that you're going to reproduce?
So that's my 3D. That's my 3D scanning right there from what would it be? It'd be like 1988.
Yeah.
You just do a grid, and
so I did a grid pattern, and I used the indicator. So that indicator is X and Y, and I had it figured I had to cut a special thread. So each turn of my, if I remember, each turn of my knob, if I turned it one time, would move an inch in real scale on the car. So I would turn it one turn, and I'd write that number down on the indicator. And I did that every 4 inches along the whole car, and I created a station buck from it. So. This is a really crazy story. So I plotted it all out. I made the whole back half of the car, and I plotted it out. And I had no access to a real car. This is all just from that model. So I bought a scale.
And you're trusting this model's.
Yeah, well,
legit.
This is really good. This is really good. So I ended up finding, or Mark had found these molds for me. So he was in the car world real heavy, and I wasn't, as far as the exotic cars. So he had found these molds that were used in a commercial. So they were in California, and they made a mold they pulled molds off a real Countach, and they made a commercial, and I think it was for Pennzoil oil at the time, and they made basically a car kind of out of like a heavy tin foil, and they would lay this tin foil in the car, and they made a car look like a Countach, and they tied wires to cables. And they said, if you don't use this oil, your car goes to shit. And they turned the motor on, and the car imploded on itself. Well, anyhow, they made these awesome molds off the car. They pulled the molds off the car, and the guy was selling them. So I bought all these molds. So I got the molds back, and after I spent all the time doing that, well, I took segments of those, and I made patterns, and I matched it up with those, and you would not believe how close they were. It was like, holy shit, this was really working.
Damn.
Wow.
It might have been a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch here and there, but if you got it to a full size car, it would have been pretty damn close, and nobody would have picked it apart, So anyhow, the next picture there is when I started the chassis. So that at that time, Mark had a burnt up Countach. So I don't know what he was going to do with it, but he let me have it for a while, and I made that jig. I took the burnt up Countach, I set it on that wooden platform, and I traced all the tubes. I made measurements up. I made wooden jigs and stuff to build the upper structure. So that chassis right there is a exact as you could get replica of a real Countach chassis. So I built it up, and then as you go further along, you'll see that there's real Countach doors. I ended up finding a burnt out set of Countach doors, and I bolted them right to the car, and they fit the frame and everything just like I had it, So then obviously I made all the uprights. I made the spindles, brakes. I don't remember what I used for brakes. It was just NASCAR stuff, I believe, at that time. And then there's the motor. That's a Jag V12. That's Dylan.
Yeah, little guy.
Look at that. Damn, he's cute.
So anyhow, we got to the end, and there's the panel work. So Mark made all that stuff for me. But as time went on, the car sold. Like I said, I got out of my other company, and I needed to make money because I was starting this business that I had no idea what I was doing. So I sold the car, and that was my feed money for the new business. There's a real Countach that Mark had for a while, and I got to use it for a day back then. It was awesome.
We'll back up if the guy that bought your Countach is listening.
Yeah.
Hit us up. Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe I'd buy it back. We got to see what it looks like.
Has it been finished?
I don't know. I lost contact with the guy. But I would love the molds back because they were real deal molds and they were good. The guy who made the molds did a nice job. So you could make parts and really make a whole car again.
Wow.
So like all the fender flares, if you back up, I made all the fender flares out of glass. I made all those from the molds. So I laid fiberglass in there and cut them out, and they were real deal stuff.
You're getting some ideas, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. So I've been privileged to have friends, customers that have owned Countachs. I love, like, a Countach, that's the holy grail for me, right?
It was for me too.
The feedback that I've gotten is that is quite possibly the worst car ever built in the history of automobiles. You might as well get a Model T.
Yeah.
Like, every 3 different guys who have owned them have told me, like,
Yeah, they're nightmare.
it's like driving a semi-truck.
They're nightmare cars.
Yeah.
But it was fun and they sound great though. They do sound awesome.
So how old were you when you were building this?
23 maybe.
It's crazy.
23, 24, something like that.
If
so you-
Instagram existed back then, dude, you would be
Be legit.
The man.
absolutely.
Vyper.
Yeah.
Here comes Vyper.
So then the company progressed on, and always in the back of my head is, I wasn't able to work for Mark anymore, and I kind of got out of the car scene a little bit because I was running a business and keeping it going, and cars I wasn't going to, there just wasn't available time to do it. But I always had the metal shaping in the back of my head. I'm like, I want to make a power hammer. Even back then, I wanted to make a power hammer. Everybody wanted a power hammer. Still today.
Of course.
Because I could see what was capable of being done with it. I'd watch them make a panel and shrink on it. And shrinking to me at that time, now I understand it. But back then, I'm like,
Magic.
How is it doing that? That doesn't make any sense to me, So I always wanted to make a machine, a power hammer. And so I'm looking, company's going good. And I'm like, okay, I got time now. I got a little bit of window here for a new product. I'm going to make the machine that I always wanted to have that I can fit in my garage. So everybody wanted a Yoder. We're looking for Yoders. I'm like, God damn, them things are so freaking big. You put it in your garage. It's just not practical for the average guy that just wants to make parts, So I'm like, I'm going to design a machine. And you know what? I really like what the Pullmax can do too. But, to have another Pullmaxes are big machines also. To have, a big power hammer, big Pullmax in your garage, it's like, holy shit, that sucks up a lot of space. And most of them are 3-phase, and that's a problem for everybody. I'm like, what? I'm just going to combine these 2 machines and design the best one that I can to shape them, what everybody needs to shape. Needs to shape 18 gauge in aluminum, be able to shrink, and be able to be in rigid mode so you can, put joggles and stuff on things like Pullmax work. So I spent a lot of time. I really spent a lot of time on the development of that machine.
Yep.
So that's the MH19. So I developed it. I made a prototype, and then Mark was at that time he was doing GTX1s. So those are Ford GTs where he'd cut the roof off and make them into roadsters.
Yep. And
I'm like, hey, I got this machine, and Mark was a big influence on the design on what it should do and stuff too. So I brought it by him. I'm like, hey, beat this thing up, and run it through its paces and give me your feedback. So he would use it, and at that time he was building a custom GTX one for a customer, and it was a wide body GTX one. So he was building all aluminum bubble fenders and stuff for it. It looked really cool, and he was using that machine to make it all. So things would break. Power hammers are trying to kill themselves. It's like a helicopter is trying to totally rip itself apart at all times. So he would give me feedback. Stuff would fail. I'd go redesign it, make it better, and take out all the input that we could. I think we ended up designing a really awesome freaking machine. And then once I felt all the bugs were worked out of it, then I released it to Bailey. I'm like, let's run with this thing. And I got to give a big shout out to Shane. I don't know if you guys know Shane Henderson at all from Bailey, but he's a big reason why the metal shaping thing kind of exploded in the metal shaping world. So it was a dying industry. There was nothing out there. So when I did this machine, I got some dates written down because I don't remember. But when I did this machine initially, there was nothing out there. You had to buy a used Yoder or you're making one yourself, and that was it. So it's the power. Yeah, so 2010, I did the power hammer.
Yeah.
And metal shaping. It was around. There was a lot of talented people across the country, but there was very secluded. and you needed to be part of that club or whatever. And we started releasing this stuff, and it was like, holy shit, this is a new avenue that people can take over and start shaping metal on ourselves. So, we feel that, him and I together with developing this equipment and putting it out there, that we really, brought back kind of a dying art. I'm not going to take credit for it, but I think we really sparked it and got people thinking about it again, and like, hey, this is obtainable. I can get this machine now. I can put it in my garage. I don't have to go searching for a vintage piece of equipment and rebuild it and spend all your time rebuilding the machine, instead of making parts like you wanted to. So
you did a great job on that. That's for sure.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. So I take a lot of pride in that, and we just evolved from there. So as we were going, people were wanting, like people that did it for a living, okay, were wanting a heavier hitting hammer, like guys that are like shaping all day, every day, and that's what they're making. So then when I kind of branched off of that product and made bigger ones. So we do make one that's comparable to a Yoder, and that's the big MH37. That's the big monster. And Mike Wagner, he was kind of our test bed for that one. Actually, Mark has that one too, but Mike did a great job on testing it for us as well. And he still has a machine down there too. So does, I can't think of his name.
Andy Leach has got one.
Yeah, that's who I'm thinking of, Andy, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was great. So it just kind of evolved and went to that. And then I just kept going down the metal shaping path because it was a passion of mine. I liked it. I liked to work with it. I wanted to learn more. But I'm a much better machine builder than I am a metal shaper. I can hold my own, but there's guys out there way, way better than I am. But I still try to learn as much as I can all the time. So, I took phase class. I did all that, and learned a lot and brought a lot of that back. And that was really helpful for me because it brought a bigger understanding of metal shaping back and making sure that what I designed in this machine was for real. I needed to prove it to myself too, that it was for real. So I came back and I used it. I made a bunch of stuff. I mean, you can see on my Instagram, the grill and stuff I made, and the stuff that Mike Wagner's made with it, is a testament to what the stuff can make.
Yeah, he makes some nice stuff. It's a hell of a good piece of equipment, and we've got it sitting in our shop right next to a big Yoder.
Yep.
And the Yoder very seldom gets used. It's a big learning curve.
There is,
to be able to stand in front of a Yoder and operate it. And your hammer for a hot rod shop or a hobbyist, and it's a great tool. We're fortunate to have I've got a Pullmax next to it that has one of Clay Cook's variable speed pedal assemblies on it. So I've honestly never used like the reciprocating feature on it, but as the power hammer function, man, it's a great piece of equipment.
Thanks. And I got a lot of grief after the fact, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's not a Yoder." I'm like, "No, it was never designed to be a Yoder. It was never designed to compete with a Yoder. It was designed to fit in a guy's shop and be able to do multiple functions."
Yep.
And everything has their place.
Oh, 100%. That piece of, like, I always wanted a Yoder like my whole career.
Yep. Me.
And I finally got one once I stopped actually physically working in the shop. But as I look towards my dream is to have like a little home shop, something that I can do stuff at home. The piece of equipment that I would buy would be your hammer.
Yeah.
Because that is the perfect piece of equipment for that. It accomplishes everything that you need. Right there. And it's kind of sort of pretty indestructible.
Pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, it has improved along the way. So there were, some weak links that need to be worked out, but the version that's being made right now is pretty damn indestructible.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good piece of equipment. I know you mentioned Shane should probably take it a little easy on firing shots at professional chassis shops all the time on his Instagram. It doesn't come across real good, but otherwise the rest of their equipment's fantastic, It's like all day long, dude. Shots fired.
Really?
Shit from
all day. Like the tubing bender, which might be one of your tools. It looks like a great piece of equipment, right? I mean, beautiful bends, right?
We were trying
a lot more to building a chassis than bending tubes, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Great. Like he's like, man, I don't know.
Well, we were trying to. I mean, actually, you guys were on our radar for sure before we knew you at all. Yeah. When I was designing that machine, at the mandrel bender for 4x2, we wanted one in here.
Yeah.
We really wanted to get.
It looks like a beautiful piece of.
We wanted to get one in here, but then we realized how you guys were, when I came last time. But back then we didn't know how you were bending the tube. and we didn't know that you weren't bending it.
Yeah.
That you were doing the laser cut,
Sure.
the miter joint thing.
To be completely honest with you, I would have bought one. I probably would have bought two if it wasn't for his social media campaign. I'll be totally honest.
Shane, you listening? Yeah. Shane.
Yeah, lost 2 sales right there.
Yeah. But
Get on your knees, Shane.
hats off to you. It's a great piece of equipment.
Thank you.
What guys are doing with it, it's definitely a kick-ass
So
tool.
that's been, and I mean, that was in the works too. And it was never, like I said, it was intended. We were going to try and get you guys with one.
Sure.
So it wasn't meant to be a competing tool by any means.
Yeah.
But that was a challenging machine.
I can imagine.
That was a challenge. That one almost didn't make it.
Yeah.
I almost threw in the towel on it.
Yeah,
I fought that mother right to the end.
Big piece of equipment.
Yeah, and
Impressive.
That thing fought me hard.
I remember there's like V7, 8s, 9s, 10s of that thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, really getting into this.
Yeah, I wasn't going to give up.
Or the
What's that?
Was it the machine side or the electronics and program?
No, electronic wasn't. No, it was machine. It was all mechanical and controlling that fucking tube and everything.
The slightest change.
Slightest change would be give you wrinkles and stuff.
How does something like that work when you have difference in materials? Like, we experience a lot of a variety of two different steel mills.
Yep.
Inconsistent wall thicknesses, profiles.
It's a problem. It is a problem, and the problem, we kind of narrowed it down to you have to have multiple mandrels, is what it is. So when your batch of tube comes in, you have to select the correct mandrel to fit that as tight as possible.
Got it.
So if you use a really loose mandrel, you could run into some wrinkling issues that are tough to get rid of unless you have a tight fitting mandrel. So that's really what it boiled down to, is having that mandrel fit as tight as possible on that tube.
We even recommended what steel company to buy the material from.
Yeah.
It was so inconsistent from everywhere else.
Yeah. So we were trying to lock it down to, okay, this company makes a great material. Don't even go through the stress. Just buy from here and it'll work, So, and it, to this, knock on wood, it has been, every once in a while there'll be something comes up where they got a batch of tube that don't bend very well.
Doesn't want to take it.
Doesn't want to take it, but
That's awesome.
so that, and then, the other metal shaping stuff is pretty cool too. Like the shrinker. I don't know if you guys you don't have one, do you? No, the shrinker stretcher is really neat. The bead rollers, and then we did the big English wheel with the rubber wheel and stuff, and that's real important in the metal shaping world.
Yeah, the rubber wheel's great. I learned that one from I did Ozzy's class years ago, and that was like, I was surprised.
He's a neat guy.
Yeah, very interesting dude. I was surprised that nobody else did that. Was like such a neat. I use that so much. He takes an inner tube, and just wraps it on his upper wheel.
He does,
and the ability to move things quickly without putting compound curves in it. It's pretty
so cool. We found. I like ours better because it has much deeper rubber.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure
it's like half-inch thick.
This always tracks off the wheel. You're like constantly. You get 3-4, and you're pulling it back.
But this one you can put a real deep form into something.
Yep.
And not put any shape into it.
And that is the general idea of it.
Yep.
Right?
Just putting form in. Yeah, and it's handy. Like mine, I've never taken. I've used only the rubber wheel in it. I'm not a wheel guy. You gotta either a wheel guy or a hammer guy. That's what I see. And wheeling to me is still black magic. I can't control panel wheeling. As hard as I try. I tried to make a door skin once on a wheel. I'm thinking it's good. A little bit more, bam, too much junk, throw it away. And where a hammer, you can walk your way into it.
Yeah.
It seems like you can really get there slower.
Right. The wheel thing for me, I don't know if I ever told this story, but I was probably 18, 19 years old or something. I had a little Fournier, one of the little Fournier quick shippers.
Yep.
And I was trying to make a door skin for my Model A. And I didn't know there was no Instagram or YouTube or anything at the time. So making the pattern was really easy. And I'm like, I'm going to wheel this thing and put some shape into it. And I was wheeling it right off the edges of the panel.
And then it's
right?
stretches.
And I was just all day long. And I'd lay it on the ground and I'd lay a straight edge on it and I'd get right back in. And I'm like, it probably, I took that piece of metal and made it like a 1/4 inch bigger.
It just stretched it all out. Yeah. Shaped the edge. Yeah. You just made it longer.
Yeah.
Stretched it evenly though.
But I had no clue. I learned later on, how to control it to some extent. But yeah, it's the information that's out there today.
Oh, it is
really good.
And the forums were big too at the time. This was kind of pre-Instagram and stuff when I did the Power Hammer. So like all metal shaping and metal meat, and those forums were pretty good. There was a lot of good information on there.
Yeah, there were. That's where we got our Pullmax from a guy who was out of like Central Illinois. He was a big guy. I forget his name. I bought it in like 2003.
Yeah, I'm sure I know the guy's name. I just can't come up with it.
Yeah, he was making his own dyes and stuff, and it's like right at the tip of my tongue. I just can't.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about too, and I can't think of it.
Crazy how small that community was. Like,
Oh, yeah.
they're talking about people they both know.
Yeah.
And it's just really cool.
Yeah, the metal shaper community is neat. Yeah.
So after Power Hammers, that's the 4x2 mandrel I did. Then I did the big hammer. And then I don't know if we want to get into, the biker build-off stuff, So I was on...
Hey, you've done a little bit of everything.
a little bit, yeah.
Biker build-off, Monster Garage.
Yeah. So at that point, Monster Garage was my... that was like the feather in my cap for my career. I was like... being on Monster Garage was the pinnacle.
Yeah.
At that time. Monster Garage was the biggest show on TV, at least for gearheads it was.
Yep.
And I remember I was remodeling our basement at our house. Kids were young at the time. And I'm watching Jay Leno. And Jesse was on Jay Leno. And he goes, my next Monster Garage build, I want to build a flying car. And like airplanes are kind of my passion too. And I'm like, I'm going to be on that show. So I went online at that time, found the application form or whatever for Monster Garage. I filled it out. I don't remember what I said, but I had to, kind of sell myself a little bit. So I sold and I ended up getting the call. And I'm like, holy shit, I freaking made it on Monster Garage. Are you shitting me? And that was great. That was a hell of an experience. And man, I wouldn't trade it for nothing. So we were out there and, probably the most complicated build that was ever done on Monster Garage. We did it in 5 days, but we had double the crew because he knew that it was such a monumental task. We built the whole wing from nothing, So
What vehicle did you build on there?
Pano's Esperante, a flying car
With the wing.
with the wing on top.
Yeah, I remember that one.
How is it working with Jesse and doing that?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, Jesse's talented. He's his own guy, and he runs the show like he wants to run the show.
Yeah.
It was fun. We met. Well, yeah, we met through Monster Garage, but prior to that, our goal was to get our machines on TV, and that was a big push for us early on, as we wanted our machines on all the build shows.
Yep.
So we were on American Chopper, we were on Monster Garage, we were on a show called Big. There was a couple other ones. So any show that was on Discovery Channel and they were making something, we were sending them machines. We wanted our stuff on TV.
Were you making like those just big electric cutoff wheels? Is that what was on American Chopper?
The big giant wheel. Yeah, the big zip wheel.
Yeah. Peaks of
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Exactly.
But that was really cool. So before I was on Monster Garage, I was actually on the set, and that's one of them pictures that are in there because I went to set up the machines.
Yep.
So I was on set, and there's pictures of each of the kids in one of the vehicles.
That was a family vacation that you tied into a work trip.
That's a work.
Yeah,
exactly. So,
let's go to slums of Long Beach.
yeah.
Always present.
Yep.
That's right.
So then, Jesse and I met on the set of Monster Garage. We got to be friends afterwards, and we'd keep in contact. And then, how many years later is that? I don't know. It's just kind of out of the blue.
These were 99.
Those are 99. Yeah. So out of the blue, that can't be right. I must not have the camera set right. But whatever. But anyway, out of the blue, he calls me and he says, "Hey, you want to be on Biker Build-Off? I'm building this like crotch rocket style bike. It's called a Scorpion." Actually, he didn't tell me what it was till we got there, but he says, "You want to be on, help me build this bike, Biker Build-Off?" I'm like, "Really? Me?" Okay, sure. So he says, "Get yourself out here and, we'll, we'll use your machines and stuff on set and we'll build a motorcycle." So that was pretty badass. And I think, I don't have them on there. There might be a picture deeper down on Instagram if you scroll down of the Scorpion bike. Yeah, keep going. Right there, right in the middle.
I remember that thing.
Yeah. So
Cool.
There's the first Vyper chair in there too. Yeah.
it's not. But anyhow, so you see that trident looking thing? That right there. So that's all my handiwork. I didn't machine it, but I designed it all.
Yeah.
So that and the primary cover too. So right there. So
Oh shit.
so that's it's a really unique bike. I mean, nobody got it. You know, all the biker people, nobody got it on what was really going on there. So there's a lot of shit going on. So that's actually a Sportster primary drive that I used inside that case. And we made the transmission case, and the case is upside down. And it loads from the bottom instead of from the top. And it's all integral to the frame. It's hard to explain without a decent picture.
It is cool.
There's a little Kale commenting right
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Grab my.
Man, that's nuts. The storyline and all the stuff that you've had your hands in. I mean, like we said, we've watched from afar for years and years and years of the blow up. And I mean, obviously the new ventures are going to be doing the same thing. We can obviously tell from talking to you guys and the passion and stuff. It's going to be nonstop.
Yeah.
But now we reach the point in the podcast where we have to wrap it up and ask some of the standard questions that we ask every single guest. So this can be interesting because we've got three guests. First up, if I can actually hold on, I need to put my glasses on. My readers. First car and a story about that car. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Take it off.
73 CUDA. So I got a 2030
Picture in there.
There's a picture in there. So yeah,
First page.
tied to that car, that was a revenge buy, if I want to say it right. So at that year, I wanted a Nova in the worst way. This is in high.
Who wouldn't?
Right.
It's an awesome car.
So I wanted I wanted a square body Nova, but I would kind of settle for anything. So there was a 68 Nova in the paper for sale.
Yep.
And I wanted to go buy it. And then my mom said, well, your dad's got to look at it first. He's got to let you buy it, give his okay or whatever. It was like $800, but it was halfway decent shape Nova. It wasn't bad, So we go look at it and he's like, what do you want that piece of shit for? And he wouldn't let me buy it. Oh, I was pissed. I was livid. So I buy this piece of shit, for $700 or whatever.
What year are we talking?
That's a 73. Oh, what year?
Because I'm wondering how
That's
many
80.
years it.
Yeah.
How
like,
it could have rusted
that bad.
Yeah. That's a short amount
So that's
of time.
1985.
What was it? CUDA?
That's a CUDA.
Yeah.
84, 85, right in there. Yeah. So I bought that heap as a revenge. So I didn't even bring it home. So I was cutting grass for two ladies, and they let me keep the car there so my parents wouldn't see it. Yeah. So needless to say, the car didn't go very far. I just burned the wheels off of it and sold it to one of my buddies, and I ended up buying my Nova, which is the next car. So, and that's the one I drove that for years. It went through many metamorphoses, and those are just the quickest pictures I could find.
You still got it, or did you
No,
parted ways with it?
yeah, I should have kept it. Same old story. Should have kept it. Kind of
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
If they're listening, hit us up.
Yeah, if you're listening, I sold it to you for $10,000. I want it back for $10,000. And
Where was he? He was in Milwaukee.
he was in Milwaukee. Yeah, and I want it on a roadster shop chassis.
We've
wink.
got a bolt on now.
I know.
We've been shaking one down on a new spec chassis. I've been driving it quite a bit lately. It's an awesome car. Yeah, compared to what they were.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool package.
What about you?
My first car was a 1995 Mustang V6 automatic.
And tell them what happened to it.
There's a little talk over here. I don't know if you noticed, but I feel like there's a good story coming.
No, well, his first car is like the most boring car on the planet.
The most grandma car ever.
That's
But
cool too.
my story when I blew up the motor, well, I had it in shop class, in automotive class, and we were doing projects, right? So like flushing the antifreeze and just doing a bunch of different shop stuff to it. And I didn't put the radiator pressure cap on all the way. And we were driving to Green Bay, and she
melted down.
she melted on me.
The coolant exited and you never saw it.
Like there'd be a big cloud.
There was no cloud, and I'm like,
a steady.
Why did you think that there was nothing wrong with the car? You had to dick with it in school.
I had to get an A for the class. I mean, I had to
I
do
was
it.
bitching at him. I ended up putting a new motor into that.
That thing was the king of one wheel peels. Like, but other than that, it was nothing.
What about the story of your Jetta that you sold?
My Jetta, I got actually a lot of car stories. I have a lot I've bought Jetta one. A lot of vehicles.
Jetta one's a good one.
Well, which part of it? Buying it from the sketchy ass dude?
No, the stuff under the seat.
Yeah, so I had bought this 2002 Volkswagen Jetta, I think, and fun little car, whatever. I had my fun with it and go to sell it. The dude I sold it to gives me a call. He's like, "Hey, dude." I'm like, "Hey." He's like, "What do you do drugs?" I'm like, "No."
Yeah, man.
It depends. Are you the cops? Like, what are you trying to ask me here? He's like, "Well, I found a little bag of blow underneath your seat." I'm like, "Oh, who did you tell?" Like,
This is the dude that you sold it to?
yeah.
Why the fuck would he call you? Just be like, dude, like,
Right.
surprise. Yeah.
So I'm like freaking out, thinking the cops are going to be at my door, And I'm like, "Well, what would you do with it?" He's like, "I gave it to my uncle. He snorted it." I'm like, "All right, cool." So I'm like,
For the call, dude.
"Yeah, thanks." I'm like,
Cool story.
"Yeah, do you want to buy more?" I don't know. I like drove this car around for like 3 years, going to and from school, and I had a little dime bag under my seat the entire time.
That's pretty cool.
I'm like, well, at least he got rid of it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's a good one.
All right. Don't tell the car yet.
I can
What?
already see it.
What year was the vehicle?
98. And it can't tell you the color too.
Oh, no. I want you said 98? 2-door or 4-door?
4.
Beige Accord or beige Camry?
Was it a
The
Pontiac?
color's right. The color's right.
That's got to be beige. Tan.
Ford Race Court.
Tan. You said tan, not beige.
And it's not a Pontiac.
Malibu.
Oh,
It's like a 98.
I know the car.
Oh, I feel bad.
Honestly, I come from the South, so that's not a horrible thing. I mean, you could get away with some similar to his Jetta story in the red.
Hey, in his defense, that fucker was mint. Like,
It
he
was
bust from
cherry.
Yeah.
I was pissed when he sold it because I'm like, dude, this is a good car. It's not, but this thing will take you around for 10 years, no problem.
It would have been a good commuter car. Like, we could just pound my.
You were 16 when you got it.
Yeah.
I mean, I bet you have some stories because it fits some guys. And
No, I decked it out with a bunch of subs.
You hated it. You wanted it gone so bad.
Yeah, you did, because you were like whining. You found this Saab in Manitowoc you wanted to go buy.
whoa,
You-
whoa, whoa!
Oh, we got a soft spot?
No, that's we judge Saab owners.
I take back.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I take back everything nice that I said about you.
Yeah,
No, it wasn't me. It was him.
and honestly,
You're like
it's,
really cool guys. These fucking guys
Yeah.
suck.
We didn't buy it.
it shows poor judgment, and everything that you've said is probably tainted now. You didn't buy it.
We didn't buy it.
You looked at it.
It was 98 Malibu, then decked it out with some like 12 amp subs in the back.
You could never make it cool. It doesn't matter.
No, it's like a high school thing where you roll up into high school and you got your subs.
Still was the
Subs
coolest.
surrounding the license plate.
It was a '98. What year was this?
2000. Shit, I don't know.
You graduated what year?
14.
14, so it would have been
Probably like 2010.
2010, 12.
Trying to think.
Got it from a.
Music and look.
I remember we got
that
it from
era.
my grandma and she kept
I
great.
don't know much about 2010.
No one knows a lot of Eminem.
I don't know.
It was like Florida and shit in like 2010.
Yeah,
Boots with the fur,
yeah.
I think.
But yeah, it was a pretty lame car. But at that point I was grateful. It got me from point A
Yeah.
to point B.
That's what you got to do.
Plain and simple.
What came after that?
08 Avenger. Dodge Avenger.
And we ran that mother into the fucking
into
dirt.
the floor.
That thing, I drove. That thing went through like it went. We bought it from a family friend.
Yep.
Then you got it. Then I inherited it because I quit my job and wasn't making any money anymore. So I needed a beater to drive. So I drove that for like 3 years. Just piss pounded the ever living hell out of it.
To drive it, you would put what did you put oil in it?
I had to put every fluid in it to just to drive it. Like there was no rockers left on it. It was a pile of shit. But
We got our money.
started every.
We got every penny's worth out of that
Yep.
car.
Yep.
Every penny.
What's everybody driving today?
So I have a AT4 with a little diesel in it, which is really awesome. I really like that truck a lot. And then I just bought a Camaro SS, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
With the supercharger and everything on it. So
Sweet.
He's pretty jealous of the Camaro out in the
I was, whoever has a ZL1 in the parking lot.
That's my brother-in-law, the big dude that you met.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Good taste. I like it.
He's getting married soon. That thing's going to go.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Well, hit me up.
Let's go. I don't know that you want that one.
No, that was that hard life, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. It leaves at like 7,000 RPMs every day.
On the back bumper.
Got a 21 Durango RT. Got the deer bumper
One
fixed.
deer strike on it, under its belt already.
Yeah, when we were here,
Is that a rite of passage in Wisconsin?
Pretty much.
it is
Yeah.
pretty much. Yeah, pretty much like the first month you buy a new car, you hit a deer in Wisconsin. You have to almost.
So yeah, 2013 GMC Duramax with 180,000 miles on it. That's my daily.
Nice.
You and my other fun cars. That's just the ride. Boring.
That was lame.
So you've worked your ass off your whole life. You sell the company. There's not one car that you're like, fuck it, I'm buying it.
Yeah, I bought it that. C8.
There you go.
And I blew it up.
And a pair of New Balance shoes, and my kid blew it up.
How do you blow a C8 that up? What do you?
Yeah, it fucking melted down. I threw a rod at the bottom.
Yep. Yeah, Road America. So we were doing track days, and
Yeah.
I was going. I don't know if you're familiar you are with Road America, but I was going around the carousel.
Yep.
And we had an instructor with us, and he wanted us at exiting at 70, 75 miles an hour. So I was just starting to get into the throttle a little bit, and
It's just
she was gone. She was gone. Yeah.
that's no warranty. There's no warranty.
There was warranty. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can't.
Is this-
That was one of the reasons I bought it, because I'm kind of friends with the dealer that we bought it from, and I'm like, I can track this car, right? He says, yep. There's a check sheet in there. You got to follow that check sheet before you go, and you can track it. It'll be under warranty, as long as you don't modify it or add any tweaks. So
Because it was
Call him up,
a
I'm like-
sanctioned track event.
yeah,
That's cool.
so got a new motor.
I didn't know that. I always thought track was
Yeah, you're all
Done.
That's on you.
That motor was fucked from the beginning. Though. I was telling him on the way here, because I could always just hear a fine little tick, and I'm like, I don't know if that's supposed to be there or not. If that's just the way this thing sounds, just a little that, tick, tick, tick,
Yeah.
I'm like, I just let it go.
Our LeBaron had that problem, and it turned up. And it's,
A little better.
yeah, it just didn't have any oil in it. We didn't put any oil in it.
Well,
that's
Yeah.
I swear, out of 300 million people or whatever in America, that bit of conversations never happened ever. Ever.
Vet guys at LeBaron.
I blew the motor in my C8. It always had a tick, followed by, yeah, we always had that problem in our LeBaron too. I'm telling you, out of
at the track.
in the fuck America, the whole entire world, those words have never been spoken together ever.
That was a hell of a car.
Hell of a car.
It had a phenomenal trans in it where you had to get on the highway, and as you're getting on the on-ramp, you don't lift.
Yeah, because if you lifted, it would drop again, it would downshift, and then it would
stuck in
up.
third.
Then really wind the shit up.
Committed.
Which is extra bad when there's no fucking oil in it.
Best car movie and why?
Gone in 60 seconds, or is it 90 seconds?
Wow.
So that's your
Big fan, huh?
it's 60 seconds.
Is it 60 seconds?
Yeah.
It's bandit.
60 seconds.
Bandit for me for sure.
Oh.
Smoking the bandit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have to agree with him, honestly.
And then number 2 is Hollywood Nights. That's
Yeah.
different than these guys' ages, but I used to. You could only get it on HBO back when I was a kid, so to try and find a video of that or like a hard copy when you're young was like impossible. So I haven't watched it in like 20 years. So just actually, I think it was from listening to you guys. I'm like, damn, I haven't seen that movie in a long time. So I looked it up online. I was able to find it and watch it online. I'm like, damn, that's a great movie.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't like big into the cars, but goddamn, I'm a big Tony Danza.
Yeah, he was good.
Tuesday night, I watched American Graffiti. It's on Netflix.
Yeah, I see that now.
Yeah.
I'm saving it. I've watched it like a million times, so I'm
Right.
like trying to wait for the right time to
I just watched it again too, and I never watched it completely through till like a month ago, from beginning to end.
Yeah.
It's good. It's an okay movie.
I like it the Netflix is cool because I just keep going back and
Yeah,
watching
the
Alpha,
parts.
yeah.
I still want,
farm car,
field car.
field car. Sorry.
I still want Milner's Coupe and Falfa's 55. Like after all, like with all the experience in the hot rod,
55 all day long.
I still want that. that car.
Let's just.
I know it's it's super cliche.
Well, it's just not. I just don't like it.
Just go to Chicago World of Wheels. You could see 20 of them.
The 55 is way better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I won't argue that. But
Best
Try to build it with a Model A.
fuck you.
best piece of advice you've ever received.
Ooh. It was from you. I got to think of it. Give me a sec. Must not have been that good if I can't even think of it now.
If there's no advice, there's no advice. Sometimes we've had people that said, "I've never gotten a good piece of advice."
Oh, my best piece of advice was from you. You said, if you have a problem and you find a way to solve it, more than 1 million other people have that same problem that you could sell to.
True.
And I always save that because in the grand scheme of things, the world's huge. And
It is.
even the United States alone is 300 plus million people. So he's like, if you have a problem and you can find a great way to solve it, more than likely, if it's that good of a product, somebody else will buy it. 1 million other people would potentially buy it.
Good. Thought he was going to say, check out the hook while my DJ revolves it. I mean, it's if you've got a problem and you can solve it.
I've got a great one.
I just should have.
I've got a great one playing off of that. A problem that you've created. Maybe you haven't been on this side of it, but a soundproof office door would be
Phil struggled with for years. It's been enclosed.
It's right outside your door too now. It's
I'm like immune to it. No,
Like soothing almost now, huh?
not really.
I agree with you because
Starts banging and
at work when they were testing them, when we were doing a run of 10 of them or whatever, and he goes through and tests every one of them, it's like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Ever going to be
It's a pain in the ass.
there's some better vibration pads for the feet. There's a lot of options here.
There
for
are.
you.
Actually, it's not even that, though. It's just the noise.
Yeah.
Just the hammering.
the one that you can never get used to is an air hammer.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
this is you feel
air
like no matter what somebody's doing with it, the sound of it makes you think they're misusing it.
Yeah.
You know, like, and you hear it like skipping, and you're like, "What the fuck is the? What are you doing? God damn it! Am I right?
Yeah, no lettuce. I said no lettuce.
It perfectly.
Yeah, it just this.
Yeah.
That I'm with Phil though. The air saw. The air saw is.
Oh,
Yeah. That one,
it's not
I
great.
can't handle that.
when you hear the tip of it skip across the painted car,
Well, it just sounds like money going out the window. You guys got anything good in your pockets? Worthy of a pocket dump?
No.
Nobody brought anything cool?
Funny. This is a pocket knife I've been carrying around for like 15 years.
Got my
what are you guys rocking for dailies?
my Menards flip knife.
Nice.
That's it.
Cash.
Oh, well, that's kind of cool.
Baller.
Cash. Is it like is it a multi-tool or is it just a knife?
No, it's actually a
razor
box
knife.
cutter.
Okay. Honestly, the best, all you really need, because that's typically what you use a pocket knife for, is
And mine's dull as shit because you cut everything that you're not supposed to cut with it. Exactly.
It uses a screwdriver.
Or whatever you need it for.
Very interesting. The only dude with a razor blade was the only dude that had blow in his car as well. So
interestingly enough, you can take this blade right out of the.
removable blade.
Oh, hold on.
I just happen to have this handy pocket mirror here too.
So I can check my makeup in here.
Where can guys follow you, find out about the drop, find out about the chairs, reach out to you, give us all of the deets?
Yeah, so if you want to follow Vyper Chairs, follow us on Instagram. That's VYPR Chair. And it's
It's VYPER
ER.
chair. Yep.
Yep. And then the energy drink is at VYPER Energy on Instagram.
You did good. This isn't a quiz, like I just
So that's our social accounts. You want websites too?
yeah, sure.
VyperChair.com and VyperEnergy.com.
I believe it's Vyper Industrial, actually.
Do Vyper Chair shows up too.
Each one will get you.
Yeah.
Hey,
Your marketing campaign's great because your sponsored ads target really well. I got to say.
Yeah, thank you.
They hit my Instagram and Facebook like every day.
Yeah.
Right. But we've been rocking a handful of Vyper chairs.
Yep.
We've spread them around in the shop. The guys absolutely love them. We've moved them. We've got so many different tasks in the shop, from guys detailing cars, mechanics, fabricators, production welders, chassis builders. We've moved them through the whole shop to get a feel. Everybody loves them.
Awesome.
It's a great product.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We got many more coming your way. So
Yes.
Before we let you go, is there something next on the horizon? Anything up and coming?
we have
Talk about?
we have a few attachments coming to the existing models, and we're also working on a different creeper style for a couple different industries, and then of course the energy drink as well.
Can't wait.
Right on.
Seriously, can't wait. Thanks for listening to Oil and Whiskey with the Roadster Shop and Ironclad Original. If you like the show, be sure to leave us a rating and review. Check out the new YouTube channel. Thanks again to our guest, Vyper Industrial, Dayne, Dylan,
Chris.
Yeah, I got them all. See? I did it. I did it.
He's getting old.
I did it good.
It's not a quiz.
We'll see you again.
See you again next
We'll
week.
see you again next week.